What's up, boy? What's up, boy?
Yo, we are back again.
Yes, sir. All right. So Lee's going to be coming in soon. He's driving, so he might be a little in and out.
No, you're kidding me. Lee's on the road again? I wouldn't expect anything less.
Where are you going to start? What'd you think of the show?
Let's start with Pittsburgh. I mean, listen, there's a lot of controversy going around. A lot of people saying that Nick got robbed, to the point where Weinberger had to come out and make a statement saying this is what we saw, blah 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 blah. First of all, I kind of agree and disagree with the judges at the same time, and I'll explain to you how I saw it. I saw it as prejudging went to Derek. That's how I saw it. And then at the finals, it looked like Nick was coming on stronger. The judges saw it exactly opposite. They said Nick was winning prejudging and Derek lost the the finals. It's weird, it's just weird to me because what we're seeing on the computer screen or on our phones is completely different than what's it now. To add a little, monkey wrench in there, all the people that I spoke to that were there in person had it the way I saw it. They had Derek winning prejudging, hands down winning it. And then Nick came back. So I don't know. I don't know what the judge was saying. I don't know.
Yeah. Two of my close friends, they were there. And they really thought Nick was going to win. I said they're going to give it to Derek still. Like, we'll go through some pictures and stuff. But we'll go. Derek, I mean, Nick is big. Like, he's a lot. When they said, other than the pictures, when you see him in person, like on stage, Nick is just a lot bigger. He's like, wow, like it's a lot bigger guy.
Right.
But the abdominal shots, like the side tries, and when he's controlling the abs, or he's like hyping up the audience, is letting his belly go all out and all that stuff. People like to take all those shots and send all around and all that. But I know he worked really hard. I think Nick and do you think this was the best Nick? Or no?
No. I think this was the biggest Nick.
Biggest, yeah.
This was the biggest and freakiest he ever. So let's not say big. Let's say freakiest. This is the freakiest he's ever looked, without a question. Everything was pretty much there. The glutes, the hams, they were there. Improvement, bigger. Things are catching up to his arms. Still has a weird looking. His symmetry. He has no symmetry. It's just the big blobs of. It looks like a science experiment. Muscle like going on top of muscle. Yeah, but listen, he came back. Like, I think what we have to do, Armon, is we have to go shot for shot. If we go shot for shot, then maybe we can break it down a little bit easier, so everybody sees what we see.
Yeah. So Martin, of course he spilled over big time. He tried to come in way too big. Like, I think they were saying he was going to come in like 10 or 12 pounds, whether that was his coach pushing that or he wanted to push that look, because, he's got to be nervous. Okay, I'm going up against some big boys. These guys are, got 20, 30, whatever pounds on me. So he tried to play his size game, and obviously that didn't work for Martin. It totally ruined his physique for the show. That's fine. He knows that now. And so the next time he's still a little bit younger than the other guys. So he's got some more tissue to put on. But this show I was even surprised, like I was like, maybe might place William in front of Martin, even, because Martin
I had William in front of Martin.
Yeah, Martin was off.
I personally did. I had William in front of Martin. Martin blew it, man. I'm sorry. Let's be realistic here. He
knows.
Blew it.
Yeah, he knows. I think he knows. He's not stupid. They just try to play that size game, and his lines, it literally washed everything away.
Everything, head to toe.
Everything about his pretty physique away.
Yeah.
That just goes to show everybody, like, who cares about what you weigh on stage? Oh, I'm my scale weight. Some people are. I tell people all the time. You do too, Keen. They worry about their scale weight, and like it does. Or you tell a client, like, oh my gosh, that's so small. I mean, you don't understand. It doesn't matter what you weigh. It matters what you look like on the stage. And so too many people worry about the scale. And I think, of course it's cool to say, oh, I'm going to be 10 pounds. No, it's not 10 more pounds of muscle than your last show. You can't, that's not possible. So, it was a fuller look, and it way too full. I mean, it looked like, I don't know if it was just they spilled or it was like weeks out and they were just trying to do a whole different look. But you remember he did that guest posing, and I think we all talked about it. I said, he doesn't look like he's 3 weeks out from the show. So they were, I guess, going in a little slower and trying to bring him in bigger and fuller, which he can't play that
the
game.
best example of what you just said about the weight, and this is not a who weighs most contest, who weighs the most on stage, is Jay Cutler. If you ask Jay Cutler what's the best what he ever looked at, what weight, he'll say 256. He said it before. You can go and check on YouTube in his podcast. He's admitted it. Yeah. As big as Jay was, as wide as Jay was, it was conditioning at 256 that made him look his absolute best. Yeah. So Derek and Nick and all these guys, they are starting to realize, or I thought they were starting to realize, that this is still a conditioning game because Hadi changed the sport. Right. Hadi did what Dorian did for size. Hadi came back and did for conditioning. So everybody needs that Persian conditioning now if they're going to stand next to Hadi. So Derek got that into his head, and that's why he won, and this and that, and blah, 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 blah. Now, if Nick is going to keep playing this game, I'm telling you right now, if I was Hadi and I'm watching Samson get beat at the Arnold, I'm seeing that Derek is now, everyone's, on his ass saying they shouldn't have. He's lucky. Now he's like the bad guy. And Nick came in big, but without a super condition. Hadi's probably like, great, I'm going to walk right in there and clean house again. I wouldn't blame him either. I'd be thinking exactly that if I was Hadi. I'm going to come in here with Persian conditioning. I'm going to wipe these motherfuckers out because no one's got it yet. I don't see it.
No. Well, Nick's mindset, the New York Pro, we'll get to that, obviously, is this weekend. What do you, Nick was pissed. You could tell on stage he was mad. And, it's a tie, King, okay?
Yeah.
When does that happen? The
right.
tie. Okay, so, and then, Derek's legs, obviously, like here's a picture of the Arnold where his legs were good again. Right. And then it goes back to this show where his legs were downsized a lot again. Of course, we know at the end, the water, and, you could lose an inch just in a few hours if something goes wrong, especially in the legs. And that's Derek's issue. Do you think it was, if you were Derek, would you have done this show?
No.
Or would you would have just gone on?
No, because now let's not look at just this show. Let's look at now what the next 6 months are going to be. Now you got to peak 3 times in 1 year. Mm-hmm. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you have Kevin Levrone, Flex Wheeler genetics in one, like you mutated like the fly into one. Put Kevin and Flex. You can't. Your body won't. It just doesn't work that way. I'm sorry, kids. I'm sorry to you guys out there. You can't. You're tired. You need rest. You need the drugs, the pinpoints. All those things matter. You believe me, guys. That you're in the in the Iron OGs now. We're not going to bullshit you guys. The last 3 weeks before the show, you feel like a pincushion. You hate taking shots. You hate it. You're like, fuck, I can't. I dreaded it. I was like, I've told you this story before. I used to call Chad up, and he was like, just drink it. Drink the V. Just drink your Winstrol. You don't even need to fucking inject it anymore. I'm like, thank God. So I just poured it in my mouth. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But I saw everything you just said. Downsized legs. He just didn't have that 3D pop. His back, when he did his back double biceps, it was still incredibly impressive, but it wasn't knock out. Holy shit, Jesus Christ.
No, it wasn't like it wasn't
that. That's what he's known for.
And, when we had Chris Cormier on the show, we were talking about how Chris is trying to help with his posing and stuff. So it seemed like he was a little confused with his posing because he wasn't posing right. And then he would pose another way and his legs would look better. So like I noticed like in the front relax poses and stuff like that. His legs were,
chefs in the kitchen, Armon.
Yeah.
Too many chefs in the kitchen. You know what I'm saying? You can't do that. You can't listen to 15 people. It doesn't work that way. I get contacted a lot, and I'm not going to drop names. I would never do that. But I get contacted by athletes who paid thousands of dollars to their coaches, and it's happening right now as we speak. 3 of them right now are contacting me, and they're like, "Hey, man, can you give me some tips to dial me up?" I'm like, "No, listen to your coach. I don't listen to what I got. I didn't know what you did. I didn't know how you did it. I didn't prep you. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how your body works. No. And then I'm going to be the bad guy at the end? Absolutely.
No.
Listen,
I don't like that when people take someone on like a couple weeks out. They come to you like, "Hey, this is my coach doing this." Is like, okay, you knew me beforehand. Why didn't you hire me beforehand? And if it's not working now, like I'm supposed to come in. So you can't win as a coach because, you know, if you, so many things are going on in their body, you got 2 weeks to kind of dial them in. Of course, I've helped people like that before, but it puts you in a really hard situation and stresses you out. You got 2 or 3 weeks to dial this person in, and you don't even know their body yet, and they're coming to you. So it's like, were they even listening to their coach the whole time, anyways?
Right.
So
yeah, I don't know if. And here's another one. I don't know if you get this one too. You can make yourself look like from another planet on social media. With Photoshop and with the correct lighting, and if you know what you're doing with all the ins and outs of all the little things that go with the photos and what you can do with Instagram. And in the past couple weeks, people coming up to me in the gym, Crizzo is the next. Oh my God, Chris! And I looked at every single one of them. I'm like, he's lucky if he places in the top 5. You're just hating on. I'm like, it's not about hating. It's not. You guys don't get it. When you step on stage, it's a completely different story. And when you're standing next to the top caliber, the top tier guys in the world, your weaknesses become huge weaknesses. I don't know Crizzo, and he seems like a really nice guy. And I wish the best for him. If I were him, I'd make a ton of money guest posing all over the world. But he's got 2 shots, and most muscular, which is fantastic. Okay, and his side chest looks decent, looks great. But where's everything else? Everything else is weird.
It's like it's like he's not even practices his posing. His posing is awful. But you know, he had that shoulder surgery. Okay. So, and he recovered really fast from it. I was surprised. And so when he's pulling that arm back, you can tell that range of motion is not there. He can't even pull it back.
Right.
That shoulder. And that's probably going to take some time because his shoulder surgery wasn't even too long ago. So that's going to take some time, but you know, his color obviously is too light. These guys that are so light, they have to get some sort of base tan. You know, they don't do that, and I don't know why. I don't know why they don't do that. They know they're going to the show, and they're always lighter, and it throws them off. But his posing was bad. I'm like, dude, this is the top level. You've got to. He couldn't control his gut. He was shaking. He was doing this. I mean, Did you practice posing, man?
Every day. And I used to go to Fairfax Hackley, and he was a mean.
I know you did. Yeah.
Fuck, man. He was mean. And he would run me. Like, again, I think that's what built in my mentality. That's why I don't like positive reinforcement. I like negative reinforcement. I like it when people tell me you can't do it or you don't look it, because then it pushes me. It makes me want to become better. And these guys nowadays are surrounded by people telling them how great they are. You're great. You're this, you're that. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. And then you have 1 billion people online telling you, it's like what's happening right now in society with girls. Every girl expects you've seen all those interviews. He's got to be 6'1". He's got to make 200K. You just eliminated 93% of the people on the planet. Shut the fuck up. You know, come back down to earth. But let's get back to Nick and Derek, because I know there's a whole fight going on. Let's go, me and you, the Iron OG. Let's go pose for pose. We might agree, we might disagree, but let's go. Front double bicep. What do you think?
Derek.
Okay, I go Derek too. Why? You say quickly why. I'll say quickly why.
It's just a prettier look all around.
Okay, 100% agree. Smaller waist, better symmetry. It gives off a better representation of the pose.
Side
tricep. Good pose for both of them, but Nick out muscles him. Just too much muscle.
You think King? I don't know if that's his pictures. I don't think I got them on here that I upload, because when Nick does it, he can't control his gut, so he's just so straight up and down. So he's big, but it just looks so weird. Derek can still get into that, like, where he can pull his arm all the way back and lock it down. And so I like Derek in the side
Yeah,
tries.
I'll tell you what I saw. I was comparing the Derek from the Arnold Classic to the Derek of Nick's. His legs at the Arnold Classic from the side, and the side shots were full, were nice, were that nice chunky full look with the cuts. This time they were downsized and not as etched in. And Nick came, and like I told you 1,000 times before, when Nick just stands there, he looks like a slob of muscle. He just looks like a blob. When he hits his poses, he comes alive. So I edged him out on the side tricep. I give Nick the side tricep.
Yeah, side chest.
Side chest, same exact thing I just said. I would give it to Nick. Again, size.
That muscle and that size, that thickness, his quads and hamstrings. Yeah. Okay. So
front lats, I think we're going to agree on this.
Yeah, Derek.
Yeah, because that's Nick's worst pose. That's his Achilles right there. That's his worst pose. Even though it's improved slightly, that's still his worst pose.
Okay, back double bicep.
Just pure etchiness of the glutes and the smaller waist and a really, really outstanding back. I would give it to Derek, but Nick is very strong in this pose too. But I tilt it towards Derek.
This show, I liked Nick because I really liked. You could really tell the size differential in the hamstrings. Nick's hamstrings were really etched out and thick, and then the quad sweep you could see from the back really good. So from the back, from Derek and Nick, especially like from that area, of course, the glutes were all the same. I don't think Nick was as tight in his glutes as he's been before.
Right.
There's like a little film of water, but it doesn't matter much. But Derek legs from behind looked a little thin to me compared to Nick's because his quad sweep was flaring out. His hamstrings were etched in, and I just didn't see that on the pictures with Derek. Okay.
Yeah.
Back lat spread.
Even.
Yeah.
Even. I tried to go. I can go to Nick, and I wouldn't be wrong. I could go to Derek, and I wouldn't be wrong. Again, who do you like? The guy with the smaller waist with a little bit better symmetry, or just a mass blob monster? It is apples and oranges, as Bob Chicarello would say.
So if Derek was here in his Arnold shape, would he have blown Nick away?
It would have been. I don't think blown him away, but he would have won without controversy.
Right. Yeah. I think so too. Yeah. I think
in the last two shots, man, abdominal thigh, I'd give to Nick.
Yeah.
And most muscular, I give to Nick.
Yeah.
So I mean, look how close it is. Even you and I are making it very, very close. So let's just say for the sake of argument that you and I are judges and it's tied. Okay, how do we do the tiebreaker? I would say, in my opinion, as an IFBB pro, you go to symmetry, posing, color, stage presence, all those things mixed into one. And posing, I would give to Derek, just by slightly. Stage presence, they both have the same. They rile the crowd up and all that stuff. Symmetry, definitely, I give it to Derek. And color, both of them great. What else? It was close, but it leans slightly towards Derek.
Yeah. Like I said, the people there, that my friends I spoke to, they said a lot of the crowd was really going crazy for Nick. I think Nick thought he was going to win.
Yeah.
I really think he truly did. You could see in his face how upset he was afterwards. And I have, I'll tell you offline, but Nick was going absolutely nuts after the show. He wasn't happy. Obviously.
Well, it kind of sets him up for the New York Pro. So,
yeah,
but there's a big but coming. I saw Sasan's pictures today or video, and he's not playing games. And if Nick slips just a little bit, he can be in trouble, man.
Yeah. If Nick if something happens with Nick, like in that week, because a week is, have you ever done a show a week apart, King?
Not 1 week, but 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks is a week's a little tough. So it's a little. So we'll see. I don't. We don't know how tired he is or how he feels or anything like that. But I think Nick is just. I think if you would say who's a harder worker, I would say I would give it to Nick. Nick is crazy about bodybuilding because I remember him when he first started. Boston used to troll the shit out of him all the time. He used to troll him nonstop, and Nick was like, "I'm gonna do whatever to be the best in the world." And I'm not saying Derek doesn't work hard, but we heard what Cormier was saying last time that he was kind of the workouts were a little much for him and all that. But I think Nick gives everything he can because he knows structure wise he has to make up for it in the hard work and everything else basically.
Well, Armon, that goes back to what we discussed before. God gives you the best genetics on the planet, and He takes away your heart slightly.
Yeah.
And then once in a blue moon, an athlete comes along that has the heart, the genetics, the everything, aka Ronnie Coleman, and then there you go. Something that the best that's ever walked on the stage comes out there, and I don't think it'll be a long time before we see a 2003 version of Ronnie Coleman again. I mean, that was just ridiculous. 293 pounds. I mean, what the fuck, man? So again, now Nick seems like listen, Nick, I don't know him, and we've been mutual on social media back and forth, and sometimes there was a point where he got mad at me and all that stuff, whatever. But I've seen his videos. He's very controlled. He believes in negatives, very slow. But I'm sure that there are certain sets that he does where he does go balls to the wall, crazy, insanity, blah, 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 blah. Martin trains crazy. I've seen the way he trains. He's very, very heavy, intense, and all that stuff. But training is one thing. Okay, training is one thing. Ronnie Coleman has said it best. He said, I train harder. I always thought all I had to do was train and have the – no, it's food. So put that aspect into it. If you have the ability to eat and you can get those calories in, plus you have that type of mentality, yes. I also do think that Nick thinks that he should have won because he really thinks that he can win the Olympia. And with the guys that are there now, he thinks he can beat Samson. He thinks he can beat. Now, Samson thinks that he is Mr. Olympia, and he's like, no, he's got. That's why it sets up a great Olympia because you got Derek now who's got something to prove, Hadi, who has something to prove, Samson, who has something to prove, and you have Nick, who has something to prove. You have four guys that think that they should be Mr. Olympia. This should be interesting now.
Do you think Derek doing this show kind of lowered his stock a little bit, like his hype going into Olympia?
Yeah.
Showing up like that, kind of like, okay, this is, wow, you just won the Arnold. Derek looks insane. Oh, my gosh. And then he comes to this show, back to where he was, his leg size, he was off. His back, this was the first time his back wasn't all etched out too, like his glutes, because his back's really crazy, and it wasn't like that this time.
Yeah,
to the same extent.
Which goes into another thing. We can't be listening to coaches either. I love Chris Aceto, and we crack each other up, and we go back and forth. But Chris, leading up to the show, you heard his comments. You're never going to see anything like this. You're going to be shocked. You're going to be – whenever I hear someone saying that, I know they're not going to look their best. I know it.
That's his
client. Always the one who's quiet that's coming in the sneaking in from the background. That's the guy you got to fucking worry about.
He's very biased towards clients too. With my clients, I'm real with them. I'm like, dude, if you're going to like go up there, you need to know he's very biased. If you're his client, you're the best always. He's very biased. That's just – some coaches have a hard time separating that. And I totally understand because, you put everything into your client and all that. And so I totally get it. But I do think, this, I mean, I get Derek's mindset going in here. I want to come in here and I'm going to do more shows. I'm going to beat this guy. But it didn't turn out like he wanted, obviously. He's probably looking in the mirror again at his legs and like, shoot, like my legs are doing the same thing again. But when he would hit his legs a little differently, like when he's standing with his toes out, it doesn't look good. When he extends his quad all the way in certain poses, it looks good. You see all the feathered and everything like that. So it's still a lot of posing issues. He still's got to figure out how to pose his legs a little better. And
I agree.
I think it might have to do with the water inside of there also. Like They weren't full this time. Last time they were full. And then you see his legs, obviously, when he's training, they're massive. They're huge. But as soon you diet, it sucks them down. And that's his problem. Getting not from the back, well, from this time, but getting those quads to stay that nice full look like he had, at the Arnold. So.
Yeah. And do you also agree, Armon, that every bodybuilder has one really shocking transformation, and then after that, it's not going to happen again. Like, I can think back. I give you many names: Nasser, Dorian, Ronnie, Cutler, Dexter. Everyone has that one shocking change, and then you're like, holy shit. And then, can it be done again? No, it can't. It can't be done again. And when it comes to the guys that are there right now, the top guys, the hotties, maybe not Samson. He still has room. But Hottie and Derek, the shorter guys, I think they've maxed out on size. You agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've maxed out on size. And anything else is just going to be detrimental to their physique or to their health, right? So what can you do? I mean, if you look at reality, and let's take Hottie as an example. Reality is the best. It's consensus by 99.9% of all the bodybuilding fans and media that the Arnold was his best look. Okay, we all say that. It was us. Why? Because he streamlined himself and he had more symmetry. That's why. We're thinking size. He wasn't thinking about size. He was thinking about how I look my best. So this is the way these guys have to do it now, which opens up the door for Samson, because Samson still can get bigger. I still see him looking bigger, especially in the back and in the arms, and he still can put size on, which is scary.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Where do you think Derek's mindset is right now?
I think he's positive, but at the same time, Derek is also one of those people that, again, I don't know him. I don't know him personally, but he probably lets people's opinions get to him a little bit.
Yeah.
There's some people who are really, really stoic right here. I could care less what anybody says about me. I don't care. I really, honestly, it's a skill. It's really a skill to have, and it takes time to work on, to master, to become a Jedi master, a stoic person. But people still care, and when they care, and right now he hears it. He's hearing it. I mean, I saw some of those comments. Bullshit. Yeah. It was like 95% for Nick. So again, if I was Derek, I wouldn't have done this show. It brought his stock down, just even with a win. I mean, can you think about that? Can you imagine that? Just think about it. Your stock comes down from a win. What does that tell you? So he needs to regroup a little bit. If I was him, I'd take a vacation. I don't know when the Olympia is. What, September? October?
I don't even know. I can't
let's say 6 months, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's say 6 months from now. Okay, so what do we got? We got May, June, July, August. Okay, so
take a week off, take a vacation.
Let's say 5 months.
Don't train.
I would take 1 month and just completely recover, detox, go to Hawaii, do something. Just relax, calm down, and lots of massages, lots of cryotherapy, lots of every masseuse, anything you can to get yourself ready and get back to work. This is the way he has to do it. This is a business now. Now, Martin, on the other hand, he's going to go to the Dubai show. And right now, I know for a fact, because I spoke to him, Behruz is salivating. He's literally salivating. He can't wait to get on and the pictures and the videos that he released yesterday. Whew, Behruz looks great, man.
Yeah, those are two totally different physiques. And I love Behruz's physique. Obviously, we love the insane conditioning, and all that. So,
don't say insane conditioning. Say Persian conditioning.
Persian, yeah.
He's got that Persian conditioning. Yeah. I'm sorry, folks. We have it. Yeah. We have it. And it's just something genetically passed down.
Yeah, it is crazy. But Martin is a little younger still. I think he's 26 or 27. So he's still got time. He's just got to keep his head right and not get down. And I think he understands all that. Hey, we tried this. This didn't work at all. Let's not try this again.
Who's his coach, Armon?
Stefan, the one that the one we were talking about last week with Milos.
Okay, Stefan, so is he
boss it outlaw guy?
Okay, so he's the outlaw guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so is he cutting it? Is he getting any shit, or did he come out? Did he release any statements? Did he take responsibility?
I didn't see him say anything. So, he's got a ton of clients, though. That's the thing. He's coaching everyone. And so I think he's got Bonax as client. There's a lot of people that are his current client right now. That's just too many top guys to deal with. You're gonna mess up.
Stop right there. Let's explain why you just said that you're going to mess up, because people are not going to understand that. And this is something that you and I have to make clear to people. Each body is different. Okay, this is how hard coaching is. Each body is different. What works for Armon is not going to work for King Kamali. What works for King Kamali might not work for Dexter Jackson. It's just like that. You have to know your client and know yourself. Okay. I'm the first thing I do when I get a competitor and I talk to them, they're like, so what am I supposed to do? My first questions are, well, what have you been doing? Well, what works for you? Have you had a cheat meal? Yeah. What's your favorite cheat meal and why? I ask 1,000 questions until I pinpoint down the way. Then we do experimentation. That's phase 2. Experimentation. That's what a good coach does. Okay. So you say, burgers and fries work well for you and Mexican didn't. Okay. I want you to have Mexican tomorrow. I want to see what your body looks like the next day. Okay. Next week, I want to see burgers and fries. Okay. I get it now. So it takes time. Okay. And each individual is different. I got a guy right now who is 2 days out from the New York Pro. And all I told him was, because I've been with him for a long time. We've been friends. I coached him. Just sleep. If you want to go to the gym and work out, eat what you ate last week this time. Don't change any, because if he tries to do anything different, he spills over and he looks like crap. Now imagine other people doing that. Then you have people who are point specific, like Martin. When I watch some of his videos, you got to take 1 scoop of peanut butter with 3 drops of oil and this, and he's very specific of what you need to do. Okay, that sometimes works. He didn't work. It didn't work for him this time. What they need to do is they need to get their formula. What did Lee Haney say after he won his last Olympia? As soon as he walked off stage, the video's on YouTube. Don't take my word for it. Go watch it. The interviewer asked him, he goes, I finally figured my body out. After 8 Mr. Olympia wins, he goes, I finally figured it out, but I'm retiring. Adios.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, it's tricky. And, going to the, I'm sure Stefan was there, going to clients' rooms and all that. And I don't think this was like overnight decision. Hey, we carved up too much. I think it was like, we're a few weeks out. We're going to try to go in heavier and fuller, and it didn't work. Your body didn't have that new tissue that you think you had. The weight maybe showed, okay, I'm bigger, fuller, but that's not new tissue on the body. So when you try to do that, that's what it looks like. And I don't think they're going to make that mistake again. So.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the New York Pro, man. You got the lineup?
Yes.
Let's get the lineup up. I know the top guys. I know Crizzo. What's that guy's name? The white kid. Fuck. I'm sorry, man. I keep fucking forgetting.
It's hard to remember. You remember King used to look at the list. You knew everybody's name. You knew what they did. You knew where they lived. You knew everything about it. It's like a lot of foreigners now. It's like, what's the name? Who's this? It's kind of like.
And I get mad because I feel like that I'm disrespecting him, but I'm really
right.
Who is the kid that worked with Milos for a while?
Regan Grimes.
Regan Grimes. I'm sorry, Regan.
So speaking of Regan, this is his back 3 weeks out. No, 3 days out, King. 3 days. This is his back.
Show me.
Right here?
I don't see it.
On the screen?
I don't see it. Huh? It's not on the screen.
Huh. I don't know. Maybe it'll pop up in a second. Did you see the lineup when I put it up?
I didn't see the lineup either, no.
It's weird.
I know that the New York crowd is going to love Crizzo. That I know. There's certain things I'm sure of. I know that Bonac will be a little bit better, a little bit sharper than he was.
Yeah.
That I'm pretty sure of. Nick,
I'll go down the list. Nick Walker, Sanson, Regan Grimes, William Bonac, Michael Krizo, Kennedy Anawawu, Dennis Frederick, Pavel Buren, Vincino Masson, Gianluca Di Lorenzo, and then Mark Arthur Daughtry.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just they actually listed exactly the top 5, the first 5 names that's on that list. So yeah, what do you think? You think Bonac is gonna improve?
Dude, I don't know. I'm really surprised Bonac, at this age, how hard it is once you hit a certain age to keep certain muscles
Your
full
limbs.
and all that. Yeah, he's doing a really, really good job. And I'm really, impressed with Bonac and
for you
how
kids,
he's
for all
looking.
you kids out there and all you bodybuilding fans, the first thing that goes are your legs. The second things that go are your arms. That's just the way it is. Just wear and tear. You can't go heavy anymore, and that's what happens. It's just fact of life. And kudos to the Emperor, to William Bonac. He's doing great. He's staying relevant and looks great. Conditioning was spot on. Looked good. I think he'll be a little bit harder. I saw pictures of him in Weinberger's gym in the posing room. He looks hard as nails right now. So looks good.
Yeah. So anyway, Regan's picture's up. I don't know. Are you on your phone, King?
Yeah.
Okay, that's why you're not seeing it. I texted it to your phone, but
it just popped up real quick. I just saw it.
Yeah. So this is his back 3 days out. It just, I don't know what lighting this is in or whatever. Like, yes, when you see Regan in person, he's a big dude. He's huge.
Yeah.
When he gets on stage, he's just tall. He's got that, what is he, 6'1", 6'2", something like that. When you're that tall, it's hard to fill out. And I don't think, like we talked to Melissa before, he's not one of these guys. He just had a kid also. He's like a newborn. So, that's not easy either. And so I'm sure his priorities, when you have a kid, you know how it is. Your priorities change in your mind, even though you don't want them to. Even though I'm 100% bodybuilding, you have a kid, that changes so much the way you just think of everything. So
Regan Grimes reminds me of Steve Kuklo. That's what he reminds me of. Very similar bodies, very similar look, and they both just couldn't get that next level conditioning. It's always there. He's got a nice, pretty body for a taller guy, and he is big. Only thing is that now that he's a dad, okay, and this is just my own personal opinion, and if he sees this, being a 320 pounds, 310 pounds in the off season, it is not good for the heart. It's not, and it takes its toll on your heart. So just be careful. I don't know. I think his conditioning is going to be off, and if it is, he might want to start thinking about what's the next phase of his life.
I think as Milos isn't coaching him anymore, right?
I don't think so.
He's with Stefan too, I think.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think he's with Stefan too. Yeah. I don't think he's going to be conditioned at all. Especially according to this picture, but is what it is.
Yeah.
The thing with Kuklo is, I'm friends with Steve. He lives here and all that. And when he was with George, he was doing well in the offseason. He turned pro with Honey, then we went with George. Then George got really sick. And so he needed a coach, and he hired this woman coach that
I remember that.
And all that. And so, a lot of people wanted him to hire me because I was here and this and that. And then whatever reason he didn't. But I would see him training, and he just didn't. He's one of these guys in between sets, just takes a really long time, chats up. There's no intensity at all with the training, like boom, 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 boom. And then I know in the gear department, he really didn't want to push it anymore either. So, and then all the girl drama going on and all that. I'm not going to get into his personal life, but you have all that going on.
I know some of it.
Yeah, you have all that going on, and he was one of those guys that, like, man, what's he going to do? But his body never really changed that much, after he turned pro. It just kind of, He improved a little bit. It was just kind of same. And like with that kind of structure and size, you got to put some real tissue on and come back and like, wow, and blow people out. And these guys like him and Regan, if they actually do that, they're unstoppable because they're so big. And it's just like, like Andrew Jack is just standing there like at the Texas Pro. I'm backstage. I'm looking at him. I'm like, that's crazy. This guy just standing there. It's just a beast.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Regan is just, we'll see how he does at the show. And then I have a feeling he might retire from bodybuilding soon.
Maybe. We had the original Kuklo and Regan Grimes and Dallas McGarver. We had that guy in DC. His name was Paul Harvey. And he was just a mutation. Even as a teen, 19 years old, he was a mutation. Calves bigger than Matarazzo. His arms like Vince Hill. He went to California and lived with was it Ed Connors? Is that the guy's name? He lived with Ed for a little while, and then he just disappeared. He just disappeared and don't know what the hell happened to him. But he too had the same reputation of very nonchalant, going there and had a towel over his head, and he didn't really, almost like Paul Dillette. Paul Dillette always trained with a towel in his mouth. Remember, all the pictures from Gold's Venice. I'm like, what the hell's with the towel, And Paul, this is his personality. He's like, he was a freak of nature, and didn't have to fucking squat 6,000 pounds and grind and throw up and all that stuff. So, again, Regan, I wish him the best. He seems like a really nice guy, and I would, if I was his coach, I would be like conditioning. That's what I would do. Yeah. Bring him in the best condition that he's ever in to actually make the judges look up at him and say, wow, he did his homework. Let's give him a shot. Let's pull him out.
Yeah, we'll see. So you think this is Nick Walker's show?
I think this is Nick's revenge show. I really do. I think this is his revenge show. I also think that Sasan is the X factor here. Yeah. I just saw videos just a couple hours ago of him at Weinberger's gym in the posing room. He not only is he thick, not only is he shredded, but he's grainy looking right now.
Have we ever seen them next to each other, King? Have we ever seen them on stage next to each other?
I don't think so. He did a show a few weeks back. He got second place. Who did he compete against?
I already forgot, but
but he was holding a tiny little bit of water. But whatchamacallit? Sasan is dangerous, man. He's fucking dangerous. Hey, anybody who's got Persian conditioning, and I don't want you people out there to hate. Sorry, but he's got it. He's going to make everybody else look soft, like they're off. So it is what it is.
That's why Nick's a lot bigger guy, and he's going to be like the size difference is going to be big. But if Nick's off or something messes up, anything can happen in bodybuilding.
Yeah, and let's not forget it's New York, okay? Yeah. And the New York crowd, if they feel like somebody should be winning, they'll let them know. They'll let the judges know. They'll root and scream and holler and curse and whatever it takes. Trust me, I know New Yorkers.
Yeah. So the other guys, I don't know. I mean, I think William will probably come in third, Regan fourth, Crizzo probably fifth, and the rest kind of whatever.
Yeah, I would even be careful with the Regan Crizzo thing, man. Crizzo might edge him. I might edge him out. It all comes down to conditioning, If this outlaw guy, whatever the hell is he doing? He's the guy who is working with Regan.
I think so. I'm not. I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. This might be a double hit for him. You better be careful.
Yeah. Both those guys there, but I think Nick's going to take it. I think Nick's angry. I think he's even more driven, and I think he's going to go in there and then take the show, get the Olympic qualification. But Derek needs some time to chill, like you said. He really does. This show. How it is. It sucks a lot of life out of you. You're just a pincushion. You hurt, and your body's under constant stress. What people don't understand, when you're doing shots like every single day, every single month, whatever, that wears your body out. Like your body's like, oh, what am I doing? That's why a lot of people now they're using the kratom for the pain and all that. And I get it because it sucks to feel like that. It's not fun. people understand it's not like, when you have a bunch of body fat or the off season, when you're that lean and you have to do all these shots, you got to be very careful in the first place because you don't want to knot somewhere close to the show. Like speaking of, the old milky Winstrol, now they make the oil-based Winstrol, but it still hardens up a little bit. So it's better to take the orals the last few weeks. You just got to be really, really careful. And
I used to go to my chiropractor, Armon. I used to go to my chiropractor, and he was real cool with me. And he had like his back office where, his own little office space. Mm-hmm. He would be doing all his clients and whatever. I would just go grab his ultrasound machine literally for like 2 hours and just watch TV and do myself just so I can get that little bit of relief from the ultrasound. It sucks, man. The last 2 weeks, you hate it. I hated it, man. And more with a passion, I hated it.
And then now they're doing a lot more volume of stuff. So you got to think like, that's why I in the shoulder region, we don't see all the striations in the shoulder. I'll give it to Crizzo because he has all that stuff. But the rest of the guys, all their shoulders they're full, but there's
that's one thing about Crizzo that worries me a little bit. And usually it's the Europeans who do this. Armon, I've seen it with my own eyes. When the class, remember the legendary story of somebody backstage asked me how much D-ball I take, and I said, well, I take 200 milligrams, and he goes, I take this much. I'm like, what do you mean this much? He goes, this much. So they would pour it in their hands, and if it feels right, the weight's right, then they would just pop it in their mouth. See, that's their mentality. And who else had this type of mentality? One of the greatest and one of the hardest and one of the most muscular men of all time, Andreas Munzer. What happened? He died. His body just said enough. Done. Adios.
You got people
see the cross, when you see somebody as massive as Crizzo and he still has cross striations all over him, that means it's mostly orals. That's what it means to me.
Yeah, he's not shooting his shoulders for sure because they would be a little something there. So, and that's scary. A lot of guys don't realize how many people's like that. My good friend, the late, he passed away, Chris Jalali. He was a good bodybuilder, great cover model. But he was like that. He would just dump and shoot and just everything. I'm like, and he eventually got liver cancer. The doctors told him, hey, this isn't from bodybuilding, but dude, come on. You have liver cancer and your whole liver's like pickled with all these tumors. It's got to be something related or it accelerated a lot. But
even Chris last week,
he was just like that.
We had Cormier last week. He said he for one time he bumped everything up to extreme levels and he looked like crap. Couldn't lose his water. He was bloated. He didn't feel good. He lost his appetite. Okay, well, there's your answer right there, man.
And a lot of these guys now, everybody talks about, as we talk about all the time, trend. A lot of these guys are not using much trend at all anymore. If they are, they might be doing 25 milligrams every other day. You don't have to do 100 milligrams of trend every other day like a typical person usually does. You can do 25. You can get away with that kind of stuff and, not have those same side effects that you are with 50 or 100 and feel a lot better and still get the rewards of that compound because obviously it's a great compound, but in a less dose. So you're being able to sleep, you're being able to get your meals in, and you're not just like out of your mind and nuts. And I just got another client the other day. He's awesome. I'm not going to tell his name yet, but he's coming down here to train soon. He could be the next Chris Bumstead. Young kid, 21. Seriously, next Chris Bumstead. But in his mind, he's got to get his head straight. That's going to be his downfall. Like I talked to him on the phone in an hour. It's like a roller coaster like that. I'm like, man, you've got the genetics. You got all what it takes. Like you just have to get your mind right. So he's coming here and we're going to train a few weeks. He might even actually move here. But then a lot of people, I don't know, King. I know some people now when they're prepping for shows or bodybuilding. I know Phil Heath did. A lot of these guys have a life coach now or a counselor now to deal with. I know that wasn't really a thing back in the day. I don't know if people did that. But now it's more common, like a sports psychologist or a life coach. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh, man. You know who my life coach was? My training partner, Loco. MS-13 gang member who 4 weeks before a show, he looked at me and go, you definitely 10th place, man. Definitely 10th place. And 2 weeks before the show, you definitely 6th place, man. You did good. 6th place is good for you. That was my life coach. somebody who pissed me off, like I'll show you, or Fairfax Ackley.
Yeah.
I go to him, you're not ready for the Olympia. Don't even think about it. And I'm like, holy shit, man. I just, got third at the Ironman. I beat all these guys. I'm not ready. No, you're not even close to being ready. You're going to embarrass me, embarrass yourself. This is what we had to deal with. Now people have life coaches. My God.
Phil had he had Hani in the room come do his checkups and do all that, and then he would have his source psychologist guy go over and talking to him, prepping him up for the the next day and all that. I'm like, that's crazy. But hey, if you need something like that and your head is just all over the place, utilize it. Hey, if you need that, go ahead and utilize it. And some of these guys, they really do need that. I have a client now. I just hooked him up with one of my friends. He's been a life coach for like 30 years. He's really good. And because I tell him stuff and I'm like, hey man, this girl you're with right now, she's going to do A, B, and C. You're going to get arrested. You're going to do that. And listen to me, break up with her. Okay. Did you break up? Yeah, I broke up there. We're done. We're doing this and that. Next thing I found out, they're taking a trip to like Indonesia together. And I'm like, she left there and then she said I did this and I got arrested when I got back. And I'm like, dude, I told you, like, I've been through all this stuff. Like, I'm telling you to save. And so I hooked him up with the life coach and they're working together now. And he's someone that needs something like that. And some people just do. And
listen, Armon, right now, as we speak right now, I'm not going to say her name. She knows exactly who she is. She's gone through shit like that, and I warned her and I told her, don't do it. You're making a mistake. I promise I'm not. And she did it anyway. Anyway, long story short, she came back and she's like, I'm such an idiot. I'm so stupid. Some people got to learn the hard way, man.
What's up, Lee?
Got to learn.
Hello.
We can't see you. We
All
know you're in the car.
Is a head. Yeah. That's it. A hair, I should say.
Hold on. I'll see if I can put a light on a bit here. Hold on.
Turn the freaking light on. What's the matter with you?
Hey, that's there. You can see me a little bit. No. Jesus, what was that?
I pushed the wrong button.
What's happening, man?
Not much. Just driving to Sydney on a rainy day at fucking 6 a.m. now. Got up at 3 o'clock, Had to get up at 3 o'clock, put my face in a bowl of water, rub a banana peel on my face, stick something up my ass, and then 2 minutes later, eat it. I got that, I've got to do those things for TikTok.
Did you see that guy, King? Do you know who he's talking about, King?
I don't know who he's talking about.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This, if I don't remember his name, Lee, the influencer guy. Like he did.
I don't know his name, but
yeah. I know who the black guy. Yeah, I know who you.
Yeah, he ripped off a bunch of people. Apparently, allegedly, he took a bunch of people's money. Didn't give them coaching, and I'm like, why are people paying this guy $5,000 for coaching?
10.
Like,
some people. I watched the latest one that Greg Doucette did because I know Johnny Bravo was doing one because Nick Trigilli did one, but they're looking into it, and there was 200 people signed up, $10,000 each. 10 grand, 10 fucking grand.
Shit.
I mean, King, he does all these videos like he's like he looks like a Vince Physique guy, but he'll be like sprinting with some pit bulls next to him. He does, just all this just Instagram stuff, and like I'll put up like a flex of his watch, his clothes. He looks perfect all the time, and all that stuff. And people think they're going to hire this guy. I don't know what they're going to think they're going to get out of it, but they got like literally nothing, like no coaching at all. And he just took their money, allegedly. So I don't know. I don't think he's really made a statement, Lee, has he?
He hasn't said anything. I know they sent Nick Trigilli a letter saying take down your post, but he said no because he's got all those emails and text messages from people, even like the text messages to the guy saying, I've paid 10 grand. I haven't had one phone call. I haven't had one like sort of face-to-face Zoom type thing because all this stuff is meant to be promised in the package and no one's got anything for their money, $10,000.
Well, Lee,
I think Nick took it down though, Lee. I think Nick took those posts down. I think so. Like, so I know he got a cease and desist. King. Yeah. And so, but the claims are true, but still, sometimes if someone's wanting to sue you, you still have to go through all that bullshit. You got to hire an attorney. You got to drop 50K, all that stuff. You know,
guys, does
we did.
any of this surprise you at all? It doesn't.
No.
This is the time that we're living in. I mean, for God's sake, a girl who went too. She became a multi-millionaire and crypto and coins, and she's going to country music shows, and they're calling her out on stage, and she's doing talk shows. I mean, this is what we're living. This is the times that we're living in now.
What about that other girl who was on Dr. Phil, Catch Me Outside girl?
Oh yeah,
she came out
worth about $26 million now.
And she came out with a rap album and got best album of the year when she brought a rap album out. I'm thinking, she's on Dr. Phil, disrespecting her mother to no level, and all of a sudden she's fucking famous and a multimillionaire.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is absolutely obscene. But I'm a firm believer in karma. I think what goes around comes around, and these people, they'll get theirs. Just like that Tua girl got hers. She's got to go to court now, and she might be serving prison time.
Just like Diddy. Diddy's got karma coming around by the sound of it.
Lee,
have you
hear the testimony? Lee, did you hear the testimony? The latest testimony? I heard
some of it. But, yeah,
I could not believe what they said. Did you listen to it?
I was listening to where she's saying how you'd have that male prostitute come in and, you know, ejaculate in certain areas, and then he would pee, and she was saying she was almost choking from all the pee in her mouth and doing all this stuff.
No. Let me stop you right there. Today's testimony was even worse than that. What she said was, once the guy finished on her face, Diddy made the guy leave. She said this in court, that he made the guy leave. Then she couldn't clean her face. She had to wipe it all with her hands and then give him a back massage with it.
Oh.
They said this in court. And now I'm listening to CNN. I'm like, how? The lady was like trying her hardest to describe what was being said, but she was like, the stuff. And I mean, she was confused. She didn't know how to say it.
I'm glad I'm not on the jury. I'd be sitting there with a heart on. I'd be looking at her going, call me.
Yeah, no, he's cooked, man. He
is. Let's say there's no rec drugs involved. Is he still doing all this stuff?
I don't know, but didn't they have because it's going to be weird because I know that the prosecution's hitting her with, why didn't you leave? You're there for 10 years, and they have those text messages from her saying she can't wait to the next freak off and that. So it's weird. It's like anything. I've had girlfriends in the beginning who have been into freaky shit, and then as you get with them and you're with them longer, they sort of goes away. It's like, okay, that was good in the beginning when it was all new. Now let's sort of settle down. So maybe in the beginning she was in it with Diddy with all the drugs and shit, but after a while you're like, okay, that was good in the start, but now we're in a relationship. Let's cool it down and just be one-on-one. Forget all this other shit now. But
I mean, I read the comments and people are saying, you know, like, some people say, oh, well, she's not innocent. And other people are like, how could you blame someone that's stuck in she was scared for her life and all this and all that. Like, listen, hey, to a certain extent, she was into all this stuff. I believe she was into all this stuff 100%. And then, you know, maybe at one point she's like, hey, can I not have all this cream on my face and maybe give you maybe a normal massage with some coconut oil instead or something, but I don't know.
That's like I said, because I've had girlfriends back in the day who would have done all that freaky shit, and the longer you're with them, they're like, okay, it's getting old now. Let's just become, monogamous relationship, just you and I. We don't have to involve other people. So I've been there, and you just go, yeah, that was good in the beginning, but it wears off, gets old. So those text messages where she's like, where's the next freak off? Maybe that was in the beginning, and then later on she's like, I'm over it. I'm done.
Yeah.
And to answer your question, Armon, I'm going
to go through a tunnel now for a second. So if I suddenly disappear.
Okay.
Yeah, Armon, what you said is absolutely the drugs have a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
I think Craig and Kelly would not have been in the situation that they were in if they weren't that banged up in the head, if they weren't tweaking. That's the problem.
Mhm.
I know, especially meth really takes like your soul. You do like my friends that have been on meth, like they tell me like they would just literally watch porn 24/7. They thought of things they would never even imagine of doing. And so I think that plays a big part. Whatever they were using, whether it be I even know when I would take GHB before, I'm like, man, this girl, I'm so into this girl, and this and that. And the next morning I wake up, I'm like, oh, this 10 was like a 5. And oh, okay. So all these
Have
drugs
you
do
have you
lower your inhibitions.
have you been on for an hour?
Yeah.
Oh, you told me 6 o'clock. It's 6 o'clock now.
That's
What are your
Armon.
time like? What time was it? What time was it supposed to be? Lee 5?
Yeah, it would have been 5 then. Yeah.
Oh, jeez. I sent you the
But you,
link because
oh,
last
yeah, but I
time it
thought
was
you said
6.
when you sent me the link, I thought you were just sending the link early for 6 o'clock. You said 6.
No,
I could have
It's
been
okay.
on
It's
5.
okay.
I've
Armon,
been
it's
you're
driving.
good.
I've been driving for an
do a
hour.
quick wrap up with Lee. Me, you, and I broke down everything. We can do a quick like highlight wrap up. It's fine. So
I
Lee,
think Nick should have won. I think Nick looked a bit more polished. I think I would have given it to Nick. Like Derek looked great, but even when they say from the back, yes, Derek's glutes were a bit more styrated, but I think Nick had him in the back because it's called a back double bicep. And when I'm looking at Nick's biceps, arms, shoulders, and that, I think he was better overall. His hamstrings looked better. So, and the thing with Derek was he had that. It's almost like a curse. He came in so good at the Arnold. He was a little bit off at this show, and his quads were a bit down. Generally, when that happens, you get marked down because Nick come in looking so good and fresh. I thought it might have went his way just for that reason alone. But it could have gone either way. It's like I said, it's because they're both such different bodies. They're both champions. That's why I said it's hard to choose. It's like I compare it to when I go to a car show when you have a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, a Bugatti. People are like, oh, I love the Lamborghini. Ferrari sucks. You're like, well, the Ferrari doesn't suck. They're two different things. Now,
Right.
if you had a car show where it's all Ferraris, then you can go, okay, all these Ferraris are nice, but this one has better paint job. This has a nicer interior. So when they're all the same, you can pick a winner. When they're different and it's that close, it's hard to say he's the champion, which sadly someone has to win and someone has to lose. But I think they were both good, and I wouldn't have been upset if it went either way. But I'm just upset that because I watched Fuad's show and they were talking about how good Martin was looking a week or two out. That's why I hate when people do peak week and all this shit, because if he was looking that good, why the fuck would you touch it? Just go in looking how you're meant to be looking, how Fuad, because I was thinking Martin might have challenged for the top spot also, and I'm surprised he's not going to New York, Martin, because it's only a week later, and that's
Well, Lee, King and I talked about it earlier. I'm not sure if this was like a spilling over thing or, 3 weeks out, his guest posing, I don't think he was at the right spot. So was it that, or was it like, hey, we're coming in the show 10 pounds bigger. We're playing a different game since the guys are really big. I don't know if it was a last minute thing. I think it was a more like, hey, let's try something new a little few weeks out and come in heavier, and that heavier for him like totally ruined his physique. So
yeah. Well, I'm just going off what Fuad said, because when Boss of Outlaw was on the podcast, he goes, I'm going to send you something now, but you can't show anyone. And when Fuad seen it, he's like, oh my God, I've never seen Martin this dry and hard and cross styrations with the extra weight. So just going by that, I'm thinking he must have been looking fantastic. I know he's Fuad's athlete and he's going to be a little biased, but the people that saw it said they'd never seen Martin look that good. That's why I'm thinking, well, he looked good before, so if he's looking just as good with the extra weight, it might be a good show. And then him not being in the best shape and good Vito being out of it, I think those two might have mixed it up a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we talked about also like Derek doing this show. Me and King talked about it earlier. We agreed. We thought it, lowered his stock, now going into the Olympia doing this. What do you think?
Well, I think so, and it would have lowered his stock if Nick had to beat him, because you're coming off, the Arnold Classic win, beating Mr. Olympia, and then if you had got beat by Nick, your stocks would have been down a bit. Then the talk might have been Nick and Sampson going at the Olympia, not Derek and Sampson. But, it still makes the Olympia exciting if Nick qualifies in New York. He was so close to Derek, and Derek beat Sampson. So I reckon come the Olympia, if Hardy's there, between Hardy, Derek, Nick and Samson, there's going to be a bit of a battle going on, and maybe somebody else too is going to join in the battle.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you driving to Sydney for? What do you got going on there?
I just go down, where I do those Sam's fitness videos and answer stupid questions in my stupid way. Where I told people, actually, I'm ahead of Diddy because I did a video once, I think I told you, where Arnold was talking about the pump. It's like coming and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I told people that was because back in the day, Arnold told me in secret that when they used to train out there in the balcony in the sun and that, the pores of the skin open up so they would actually get their semen and rub it on the muscle and it would soak in and it'd actually help them grow. And you'd be surprised how many emails I got going, Lee, I've been trying that, what you said. I know I feel weird doing it, but my arms aren't growing. And I'm like, fuck, did you really believe me? They're like, yeah. So they've been rubbing semen on their biceps and shit.
I have a client right now in Lee that she's a figure competitor, and one of her issues is that every day she sends me a picture of a new supplement or a new drug. Should I be taking this? Should I be taking this? Should I? So today I reached my point right here. So I'm like, listen, I want you to go to the local saddlery and get horse piss. Okay, I want you to get the horse piss. I want you to start drinking it. And I shit you not, she was like, where's the saddlery?
Okay.
Where can I go find a saddlery around here? You can't make this up. It's not. I'm telling you, man, we're going down some crazy roads, bro.
It's annoying because they think there's some secret that we don't know about, but someone else does. That's like promoting, that's like selling the product and like, well, go take it all. Yeah, that's fine. Go take everything you see. Yeah.
It's like they don't give anything a chance. So it's like you give someone a training program. And within 2 weeks, can I change it up? Can I do this? You give them a diet. In 2 weeks, can I have a cheat meal? It's like, no, you're still fat. It's like everyone's looking for this, what they call, what is it, fucking bro science. And now there's this RIR here, people talking about reps in reserve. I'm like, you young kids are overthinking it. It's fucking lifting weights. It's so fucking basic. If you stick to the basics training, you stick to the basics when it comes to nutrition, you can't go wrong. Stop trying to get all fancy. It's like you've just started. So why are you worried about putting a little bit more here on the rear delt? You don't have a shoulder to begin with. Build the shoulder before you're worrying about putting a little bit on the rear delt. It's like,
it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
That is so true.
It's like they're trying to make it two-sided. They're overthinking it. I'm like, I get questions sometimes and they send me this big thing. I've been doing this and doing that. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, just go lift some weights. I feel rude saying it, but I'm like, that's how basic it is. And they're like, I sent a guy a program once. He's like, that's it. I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, I thought it would have been more to it than that. I'm like, it's fucking training. It's lifting weights. What do you want? It's like, it's not rocket science here. Fuck.
My deal is nobody wants to take natural supplements anymore. They just skip straight over to the gear. Yeah. I'm like, are you not taking any of this stuff I told you? They're like, no, I can't afford this bottle or this bottle. I'm like, golly, they won't even take the basics.
I remember back in the day, we used to probably all do it. Handfuls of aminos, like the big ones. I used to have Beverly International. They were like horse tablets, and then I'd be probably 30 tablets of desiccated liver tablets. I'd take 30 of them a day.
Absolutely.
That's crazy.
The amount of actually a very good supplement. When you opened up their bottles, you could smell everything coming at you, man. It was real strong, very pure stuff.
They were one of my first sponsors when I was like 18, and that. Then I got sponsored by Masashi, just started up. And I remember the Masashi powders. Oh my God, some of them tasted like dead seafood in water.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah. That was Dave Spindell, right? The Beverly International. David Spindell. Yeah, I remember.
Regan, that is. How do you think Regan's going to do there at the New York Pro?
We talked about it earlier. I think this is his back. I'm not sure if you can see it, Lee. I'm sure you saw it online already.
Yeah,
for 3 days out.
I can see it. I can see it.
Yeah, I just think, like King and I said, I just think he just had a baby. I just don't think he's going to come in shape at the show, and it's just going to be like he's like we talked about, kind of like he's kind of like Steve Kuklo. Like once he turned pro, nothing really happened with their physique.
Yeah, it's like we've never actually seen him at his very best. It's like, he's looked good, but has he been his best? No. And like I said, he's got all the size there. if he comes in dry and that, like I said, he's got good shape. He's one of those guys too. In person, it looks a lot bigger than he does in photos. Yeah, but I saw some pictures of him with the family, and then it looked like he was on holidays by the pool and that. I'm thinking, even though he's probably training hard and dieting, doing those sort of things, it still has that relaxed thing compared to Nick, who's so tunneled vision right now. So.
Well, I mean, Milos said he's not one of these guys that's going in the gym and killing it. He's just not doing that. He's comfortable with what he does. He gets his pump. He's not one of these guys that just goes in there and just hammers after it and loves bodybuilding and training. I think he just loves the social media aspect of it. He's a good-looking guy, great physique. He makes a lot of money through his sponsors, and it's like, what's his motivation to kind of even get to the next level? You remember when he went out to the Camel crew, he was scared because they got him up to 300 pounds. He was scared.
Yeah.
And, it's like, dude, you want to be a top pro bodybuilder, you got to get big, especially being the height he is. And he that didn't last long. He flew home. If he probably stayed out there, he would have probably became that new level of size he needed to become. But he's not one of these guys that could just eat, sleep, and train. He wanted his girlfriend there, and I think they broke up, and he wanted, the social life, and you're not having that out. And I don't even, does anybody even go out there anymore? I know Brandon, but nobody really does the whole Kuwait thing anymore, do they?
No, I don't think so. But I'm thinking right now, from the New York Pro, if I was saying what's my predictions, which I hate doing predictions because they always fuck up, but I'd probably go Nick, Sass, Bonac. I'd probably go Nick, Sass, Bonac, and then Grimes maybe if he comes in shape.
That's what we said.
we had the same assessment, but I said that if Grimes is a little bit off, Crizzo can slide in there.
Yeah.
But then even Sass and Bonac, they're at similar height almost. It's just going to come down to, I prefer Bonac's structure. Sass is a little bit straight up and down, but his conditioning is hard to beat. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't really know these other guys on here. I feel bad, but I just don't know their names. I'm surprised
Derek. Like I said, I'm surprised Derek and Martin didn't just go, fuck it, I'll do that show too. It's a week later because isn't there like 4 or 5 shows now back to back a week apart?
Well, I think Derek would be, I think Derek's body really showed like he needs King and I were talking about earlier, he needs a break. He needs like a vacation. He needs some time to just chill. I think if he did another show a week later, he would just be like so hammered and probably get the flu, or how your immune system does. I think that would totally wreck him.
He'd have ballerina bike rider legs by the time.
Martin not doing it. I'm not sure if that how much weight he gained. It was just too much actually maybe fat or whatever it was, or spilling over. I'm surprised he's not doing it.
Yeah, because I know he was upset and disappointed with how he looked on the day because he was like apologizing and that. So I figured being a week later, whatever they fucked up, they could probably iron out in a week and come back and redeem himself at the New York, where it was him and Nick last year by a point. So it would have been good to see him go at it again.
I think he might be afraid to, not come in his best. And, King and I earlier, we were talking about like their mental state. A lot of these guys, like Phil Heath had a life coach, a sports psychologist come to the shows with them. And so he would have Hani in his room, and then he would have the life coach or whatever in his room. Hey, if you need that and all that, like I know people didn't do that back then. That's fine, but a lot of these guys, their heads are just so all over the place. They just need the next 2 weeks to even get their head right from that show. So,
do you think social media has a lot to do with it too? Because I remember back in the day. I don't know about King, but I never really thought about who's going to be in a show. I just go in the show to do my best. Whatever I get, I get. But I think now with social media, there's so much emphasis after doing a show. I think these guys spend too much time in the comments going, oh my God, look what they said about me. Look what they said about me. I'm not going to do another show till I'm this and that. So back then it's like, we didn't give a fuck. We just did shows because we wanted to compete, and whatever we got, we got. Yeah, you might get a shitty decision sometime, but it was never like, oh, I'm not doing that show because he's in it, or I was never strategic. I just picked a few shows I wanted to do and I did it. It was never no rhyme or reason, but I never cared who was in it or thought about where I was going to place. But now it seems like people pick shows more strategically on where they think they can place or where they think they can win and stuff like that.
Well, also,
I think
Lee
they do.
Priest, your life coach, you was walking into Venice and seeing Tom Prince, Flex Wheeler, Chris Cormier, Paul Dillette. I mean, that was all the life lessons you needed to watch.
Exactly.
Holy shit! Okay, I got to get that. I mean, if that doesn't pump you up, if you walk into a gym and you don't see you see the top 5 guys in the world, you're like, fuck, man. Then I don't know what will. I don't know what will pump you up.
But
do you guys think
even what
he
pumped
would
me
have
up
done it?
too was just. I was just saying, living in Venice just pumped me up because I'm living in Venice, living the dream, getting paid to eat, sleep, and train. I'm like, that's all the motivation I need. I'm like, wow, I can go to the gym and then eat and then have the rest of the day. I could go to Universal Studios if I want, then go train again. I'm like, that's all the motivation I needed. If what I have to do to keep this lifestyle is just train hard and compete, well, fuck, that's easy because I love doing it.
Yeah.
The social media does. Like this new client that just got with me, he can be, like I said, the next Chris Bumstead. It's really for them to deal with that social media constantly and having to look good constantly because your sponsors want you to put all this content out there, and you can't go a little bit off season look because people are going to start saying, oh, you're not in shape. Like, you can't let that stuff get to you, but they just do. It's just how they were brought up, and I don't know how they feel. I wasn't born then, so they don't know anything else. So that's what they know.
Well, it's like when we competed. If we come off stage, you'd have your friend or whoever around you say, oh, this guy's close. He's looking good. He might have you here. He might have you there, blah, blah, blah. But these guys come off stage now after prejudging and go back to the hotel or do whatever, and they're straight into the, everyone's posting pictures and making comments. So straight after prejudging, they're reading all these fucking comments like, oh, he looked crap, he's soft here. And a lot of people can't handle that. It's like, well, fuck, why are they talking shit about me? So stay off the comments. If you're competing, don't look at the comments all day. Don't fucking go there.
Absolutely.
Do you guys think Martin would do the New York if Derek wasn't doing it?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Do you think Martin would compete at the New York if Derek wasn't competing there?
Is Derek doing New York? He's not doing New York, is he?
Not Derek. Nick. I'm sorry.
No, Nick. No, I don't know, because I was thinking, because last year, because it's funny, because even Tyler in his assessment, it's weird because he said he had like Nick winning this show in Pittsburgh, and then he said last year though he had Martin over Nick. So at least he was like upfront and honest about his assessments, and I think it would have been a good rematch because, like I said, it was so close last year. Could have gone either way in New York. It would have been good to see him battle it out again.
And I'm also almost positive that Weinberger probably went up to Martin afterwards, said, "Hop into my show, just come." It's only 1 week, so there must have been something there for Derek to say no. I mean, it's for Martin to say no. There's got to be something else there.
I think these guys are pushing it a lot harder too to get peaked in now than let's say 20 years ago. Also, I think these guys are putting their health a little more on the risky side when they're coming in, and then a show being a week apart.
Well, that's the thing. See, I never did insulin. I never did the carb loading. I tried it once and too risky. So that's why if I looked good a week or two out, I just stayed like that and cut my water the last week a bit and put tan on. But yeah, like you said, now you often hear about these guys doing stuff food-wise too much, pumping it in, or different chemical-wise that maybe after doing that, the body can't bounce back in a week's time to even out again. That's why if you don't go too crazy, you can hold your conditioning much longer for a better period of time.
This guy says, OG, you guys think doing multiple shows kills the opportunity to really peak? Yeah, it just depends. Like we've been talking about it. It just depends. Like a week apart is tricky. Like I think that is tricky. Like I've had clients do a week apart. 2 weeks is better, obviously. That week, I think that might benefit some people and some people might not. But yeah, you got to kind of pick and choose and see how your body feels. A lot of people body, like we were talking about pinning earlier. Everybody's pinned up everywhere and just a pin cushion, and they just hurt so bad, and they just like, oh my gosh, I just mentally can't do this for another week or two. I will break. So I understand that.
I always found the shows a week apart were better for me because I could always keep in shape. If it's 2 weeks, because I like food too much, I'm like, I'll have another cheat meal. Then I'm like, oh fuck, I went too far. So I preferred them if they were closer for me. It kept me on the diet stricter. If I had like when we used to do the Ironman was 1 week, the Arnold a week later, San Francisco the next week, that was easy type thing. But if there was like, if you did those shows and you're like, okay, now I'm going to do the Night of Champions in May, that bit of a break, I'm like, it's not enough to get heavy and it's not enough to do this. I'm like, I can't do it. It's got to be closer.
Well, then, Lee, like you said, you also weren't doing carb loading, carb depleting, diuretics, insulin loading. You weren't doing all that stuff. You were just kind of like, you're ready for the show, you go into the show. You weren't changing all this stuff like these guys are doing, and I think that's the reason why.
And even like I said, coming up to the Ironman, I'd cut all my shots out like probably 5 days, almost a week before, because like I said, once you're really lean, even though if you clean the area, you get a bad shot and you're lean, and you get a lump there on stage and the lights hit it, that lump looks 10 times bigger. So the last week or so, I'd just go to Anavar or Dianabol. I'd try and stick to the orals, even though they're not the best for you. Sometimes even Anadrol, take one Anadrol to keep me nice and full. But yeah, I'd always get rid of the injections when I was competing, because like I said, I didn't want to have that lump stand out. And then even Stanozol, I remember I'd get the red mark and then it'll all get watery and shit. So I'm like, fuck taking that too, getting closer to the show. But you see it all the time. People take these shots too close. And like I said, you can be as clean as anything, but sometimes you still get that fucking bad shot.
Just like King was talking about earlier with Crizzo, like his shoulders are totally striated. So he's not injecting his shoulders regularly with gear. So King was saying, like how some guys, they would just get a palm of orals and just throw them in their mouth, not even knowing how much is really in there. And those orals are really
not counting the milligrams, just you weighing it out and throwing it in their mouth.
Well, it's funny. I used to talk to Tom Platts, and he reckons back in the day, I'd say, people go, "Hey, you took more than that," but Tom was always honest with me about the small amounts he took. And I used to say, did Arnold? He goes, "Oh yeah, Arnold used to have a VW set back in the day, a little bug, and they'd go to Gold's Gym, and he said he'd have a bottle of Dianabol in there, and he'd just put his hand in and grab some." I said, "Well, how many did he take?" He goes, "Oh, he'd sometimes just grab 10, another day it might just be 6. It just, whatever he grabbed, he'd just take it. It was never rhyme or reason," Tom said.
Yeah. I've seen that.
This guy said Martin is already qualified. Yeah, we know that. We're just talking about him doing the show just to do a show.
Yeah.
Even though if you're qualified already, hey, you do another show, you collect some more cash, and you're a bodybuilder. You don't know when's your last day of bodybuilding. You don't know when an injury is going to happen. You don't know when something's going to end. And I'm sure probably both of y'all looked back and said, man, I wish I maybe had done that show and kind of just, whatever. So
and the New York, even though it's not the Night of Champions that Wayne used to put on, the New York still has the New York name. The crowd's fucking crazy, and you get a nice bloody ring. So it's like I made a joke on the podcast with John the other day. I said, if Nick wins, I put a comment under Nick's post. If you get another ring, can I have it? Because I'm still waiting for my 2006 Night of Champions ring from Wayne. Wayne's like, "I've got it, Lee. I've got to give it to you." I'm like, "Well, it's almost 20 fucking years."
Is he being serious? Really?
Yeah, he said he's still got it. So he goes, "I'd have to find it," but he goes, "I know I had it, but I've moved a few times." I said, "Well, just go make me another one. It can just be a silver ring with cubic zirconia, NOC on the top. I don't care."
Lee, I'll make a couple of calls, man. I'll make a couple of calls for you. Don't worry.
Thank you.
Let's see if we can get that.
If you do talk to him, and he'll laugh, because every time he posts somewhere, I'm like, "Have you found the ring yet?" That's all I say to him. "You found the ring?"
Wayne lives 2 streets down from me. He's literally right.
Well.
He's like a neighbor.
Play a joke. Go knock on his door and say, "I'm here for collections. A ring for Lee Priest." Lee sent me for a collection. Stand there with a baseball bat. I'm here to get the ring.
Lee, let me ask you this, man. This is something that was on my mind all last week.
If I lose, I'm going under the harbor right now. So if I lose signal,
Okay.
Every time I go through this tunnel, I think of that movie Daylight with Stallone. So nothing worse if you're driving through a tunnel under the harbor and you have to turn the wipers on all of a sudden.
That's crazy. Listen, Lee, I was thinking about this. It's a little clip from Jay Cutler went viral last week when they asked him who's the freakiest bodybuilder he ever saw. He goes, without a question, was Lee Priest when he was like 19 years old when I saw him at Gold's Venice. How does that make you feel to know Jay was saying that about you? That's really a humongous compliment.
Yeah, I was shocked when he said that. I was also shocked. Was it last year when I had Ed Connors on Dave's show, and Dave said, "Who's the freakiest bodybuilder you've seen in Golds?" And I'm just watching it thinking, "Well, fuck, he's seen Victor Richards, he's seen everybody." And Ed's like, "Lee Priest when he was younger was the freakiest I've ever seen out of bodybuilders," and that. And then even the other day on a podcast, who was he on? Oh, I forget who interviewed him. It was a really good one, and they asked him who was the. But I actually said, who's the greatest bodybuilder of all time? And he goes, Lee Priest. Ed was like, fuck Lee Priest. Ronnie Coleman wasn't that. But Ed was saying, just from my potential competing at 13 and how I looked at 17 winning a national title.
Right.
He said my name again. And then it's always funny, too, when I watch Ronnie, because Ronnie just did a seminar again, someone sent me, and he brought up how the worst thing in bodybuilding that ever happened to him was me beating him. So when I hear stuff like that from the peers, I always find it amusing and funny at the same time. But it's always a nice compliment to hear, but I don't let it go to my head. I'm just like, oh, that's nice to hear because, they've seen everybody. So even when Jay's like, I've stood on stage beside Ronnie, but Lee Priest was the freakiest I've seen. So,
and that's saying something because you brought up Victor Richards' name. I don't think anybody, most of these kids know who Victor Richards was. And he was a mutant. I mean, people call they call Nick Walker a mutant. They have no idea what Victor Richards was.
No, and I'm not saying this to be racist, but if you saw a big silverback gorilla standing up, that's how he looked. He was just thick and dense arms and neck and traps and legs. Remember that guest posing he did in FIBO once with Dorian and all them, and people were like, look at the size of fucking Victor beside Dorian and he had that mystique about him. Remember, it's like, imagine if he competed, he would probably win the Olympia. But if he did compete and he didn't do well, he would have lost that mystique. So he did pretty good by not competing to keep that aura around him. Yeah.
And he was never one of those crazy insanity, Branch Warren, Johnny Jackson type trainers. No. He was just genetically probably one of the most gifted human beings. And you're absolutely right. It's nothing about being racist. He looked like a silverback gorilla. He really did.
Oh, yeah. It's like, I saw a video the other day. Someone put up a thing on YouTube of like the silverbacks in Uganda or somewhere where you can go and sit with them. And there was this one there, and it was standing up. He actually stood up on his legs. And my God, did he look like a bodybuilder? The quads, the chest and the arms. He's standing up almost like in the relaxed position. It looked so crazy. I'm like, fucking hell.
Yeah.
Lee, when you were back competing with all these other guys and you would look at your competition in the gym, did you think like in your mind, like I'm better than this person? Or did you think like, well, let's see what we do on stage? Or what was your perception of the other competitors you were competing against?
I always thought everyone looked better than me. Even if I had my training partner and he could see I was in shape or whoever, they're like, no, Lee, you're looking good. I'm like, no, he looks better. Even backstage at shows, I hated looking at people because I'm like, look at that guy. Look at his arms. They're like, have you seen your arms? I'm like, yeah, but he's looked better. They're like, fuck off. But because you're so used to seeing yourself, and backstage, it's like everyone looks better than you for some reason. So even in the gym now, when I saw Flex or Chris and them, I never really thought about it because I never had that. Because like I said, you see my training videos like the Benefit Olympias, Mitz would always laugh because he'd ask me a question. I'm like, Mitz, stop talking to me. I'm training for 7th place or I'm training for 8th place. Even Kevin goes, Lee, why do you say that? You got to go to win. I'm like, Kevin, I'm a realist. I know I'm not going to win the big shows. So to me, if I get 5th at the Olympia, that's a fucking win to me. And back then, remember, if you got in the top 10, that qualified you for next year's Olympia. So
correct.
I always had my sights set on 10th. So if I've got, like I got 6 a couple of times, to me, anything from 10th up is a bonus. So I was a realist and knew I wasn't going to win when those people were in the show. So all I could do was just come in my best. And I got a lot of seconds and people go, you should have won. But I'm like, hey, I'm happy winning, getting second. But I think too, when you don't always win and you look good, it always helps your fan base because they're like, oh, you got ripped off. So you get this more fan base behind you. You know what it's like when you win a lot of shows for some reason. People want you to win, but then when you win too much, they fucking hate you. I'm like,
Right.
what the fuck? It's
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, 100%.
It's crazy.
100%.
We were talking, we went over the shows earlier and all that, and we talked about, Derek's quads, and how they, went downsized again, and it's just that issue with him with that little water sucked out from underneath the muscle. Makes a huge difference with his quads looking, because when he's not competing and bleeding into a show, his legs are insane. But when they pull that water, it just at the Arnold, amazing. His legs were on point. This show,
was it him or Chris that posted the pictures of Derek from the hotel room? And his quads look really good there, like the outer sweep and the fullness and the cuts. Those hotel room pictures look great, but then again, it always seems hotel room pictures, gym pictures, everyone looks fucking good. Once you get on stage, it's like, oh shit, I don't have that nice down lighting, because even as bad as I look now, I'll stay in a hotel room and I walk out the bathroom, and generally outside the bathroom, there's a full-length mirror with that one overhead light. I stand there and go, fuck, I can get on stage next week. And then I move to the other light in the hotel room. I'm like, nah, fuck, no, you can't. You're bag of shit.
well, I mean, I think from the front poses, Derek's legs were significantly different size than Nick's, and especially in the adductors. Even his adductors are usually like smashed together like that, and they weren't that way either.
Yeah.
So
hopefully, and I'm sure too, it's like everyone always stands different, but to me, I don't know, the way he stands on stage, his arms just seem to be too high and his legs too wide.
He's keeping his arms way too high up. Yeah, I don't know why he's doing that. His posing is just like when Cormier was on here. It's like I was working on his posing, and his arms are all the way up. Like, why is arms all the way up there, dude? You're a top professional. Your posing has to be better. We talked about Crizzo's posing. That Crizzo goes out there. I know he just had a shoulder surgery, so he can't get that arm back there because of range of motion. But other than that, his posing is amateur level-ish, and it's just like.
Well, I was even like when he stands there, it almost looks like like Milos said, it looks like he's riding a horse. But now I've got in my head when he stands there and his legs have that little bow and that little point going up to his groin. I said it looks like the top of the Taj Mahal between his legs. Now I just see these Indian buildings between his legs when he's standing there.
Oh shit! Only you, Lee.
What year did that change from the legs going like this, like everybody posed? I don't know, because I posed that way when I was competing at the national level, and then everybody's legs are like this.
Well, King was probably was competing at the same time I was, or I think I was a little bit before King. But even then, back then, during pre-judging, we're always told feet together, heels together, all the time. If you tried to do that, feet together, guys, because they want everyone. Because to judge someone on a pose, you got to be doing the same pose. That's what I think personally. If you're doing a side tricep, everyone has to have their leg in the same position, side tricep, not one leg forward like Dorian and one back. Yes, do that after you do the first one, because if we're going to judge you on a pose, everyone needs to be in the exact same pose so we can judge you properly.
Yeah, the three names that pop up in my head were Nimrod. I remember Nimrod used to walk out and he over-exaggerated. He just walked out there and his arms and legs are so far apart. That was one. Mustafa Muhammad was another one. And then Branch. Branch came out there with his legs like literally 3 feet apart. I think those are the three names that literally just, and Lee's right. That's back when Wayne used to be like feet together, arms down, feet together.
Oh, yeah. Or even if you're doing when they say quarter turn to the right, if you twist it too much, like Kevin would try to do sometimes and do stuff. It's like, they'll be like, fellas, look straight ahead, no twisting. Right. So you pretty much had to stand facing that way. But now everyone's putting their own little twist on it and this and that. It's like doing the ab shot. It should all be done the same. Some people twist a bit doing the abs, some stick their leg out to the side. So it's like, that's all good to do, but do that after you've all done the conformed and mandatory pose.
Correct.
No, they're hiding their weaknesses. They feel like they're not secure about that pose. So they're able to get away with it now without being corrected. And even at local shows back then, they would say, "Hey, your arms are too far back," or "Hey, put your arms down," and they would tell you, "Hey, you can't pose that way. You're trying to make yourself look a certain way that you're not, and not everybody else is standing." So
King would remember Kevin. Kevin, for some reason, if they asked the side tricep, Kevin would be going out here, pulling it in, doing almost a side chest, and Wayne would be like, "Kevin, side tricep." It takes so long to get into fucking pose that like he'd done every pose before it. It's like, you do this and do that. It's like, Kevin, tricep shot.
Yeah, and Kevin used to also roll his toes forward too. I mean, can you imagine that? Like, you always stay on your toes and lift your heel. Kevin used to roll his toes under to do the side shots. That didn't make sense to me either. That was a little weird.
Yeah, I remember pictures like that. That's ouch. This guy says, "Has IFBB ever tested?"
Yeah, I think they said they did, but even in the '98, they did tests, but it was mainly for diuretics and that, because I was with NASA at the time. So we did all our P tests. One year, Flex and I, we took so many of those when they were testing for diuretics. One year, we took those blue water pills that women take for their period. Yeah. It was the funniest thing ever. We took that many when we did our piss. We came out with it. Flex and I are laughing because our piss was blue.
Blue, exactly. I remember that.
And we gave it to them, and they're looking at it like that. We're laughing. But at the '98 one, we all did our tests, and we went back to Madison Square Garden at night for the final. NASA and I are there first, and outside the room we're going in, there's the tray of everyone's samples. And I said to NASA, "Hey, let's just put fucking aldactone and shit Lasix in everyone's piss sample." I said, you'll get first, and I'll get second, and everyone else will be disqualified.
That's not a bad idea.
I don't think they ever tested, because one year, I think it had been that year or the year before, when they said they were, because they were testing mainly for diuretics and clenbuterol. For some reason, I'd forgotten I was taking clenbuterol. And I went, "Oh, fuck, I'm going to get busted for sure." So I did the test and came back clean. So I either had fake clenbuterol or they didn't fucking test.
You probably had fake clenbuterol. Yeah, this guy. But amphetamines, they never tested for rec drugs ever, right?
No. Shit.
Shit. They don't care.
Craig and Chris would never have got on stage.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What else do we got to have? Can we not have Ian and Fuad do commentary? I didn't hear their commentary. So did you guys?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't hear it. Was it not good, or?
I guess this guy didn't like it. What didn't you like? Let me. I don't know if he's still on here, but what didn't you like about their
normally
commentary?
Good. I could see Ian being a bit more critical and combative when it comes to talking about people.
I don't know. Is that or they weren't exciting enough, or I don't know what.
Well, maybe like about it. I know someone. I think that Leo guy who does his podcast from Gold's Gym. I know he sent me his, and he goes, "Here's my posing routine." The song also with Fuad and Ian, because pretty much through his whole routine they kept talking. So I know a lot of people don't like that when someone's posing and they just keep talking over the top of the whole time.
Yeah.
When they're doing they're posing to their music, like their posing routine.
Yeah. Rather than just sit and watch it, just say a little bit at the beginning and maybe a little bit. They sort of talk through the whole thing, so you can't really get into the posing routine listening to the music because they're talking over the top.
So did change the subject a little bit, but did Dan Solomon finally say, "Okay, we're going to do something with a backdrop"? Because remember, he came out and made the video and said, "Hey, we're not doing anything. I'm tired of hearing everybody saying anything." And then underneath the post, everybody was roasting him. They're like, "Why?" Oh, yeah. All the competitive bodybuilders like, "Why aren't you listening to anybody?" And then
I said he heard me. He heard me because I was on IFBB AMA and I did a big thing about it. And I think
I saw your stuff.
Yeah, well, it's true though. I said, look, you can have your sponsors, like you can have the LED up the top, up the sides, across the top, but for those 2 minutes when you bring 4 or 5 guys out, just that 6-7 meters behind them, have it blacked out for the comparisons. Once they go back in line, make the stage light up again. Nighttime, do what you want. Smoke machines, lasers, but just during that important part, especially like when we had Nick and Derek here, where it's that close, you don't want any distractions that could throw you off, or too much light happening can make it look different than what it really is. So I think in those occasions, having a black. And he also said too, which pissed people off, he goes, saying about, well, you know, we're going to have this and that, and if not having a backdrop and having a bit of smoke and that smooths the athletes out a bit, so be it. So it's almost like he's saying, I don't care if it smooths you out, we're doing it this way. And I think that's what got people up in arms, because without the competitors, you don't have a show for one. And this is the Super Bowl, they say, of bodybuilding, where it's the Mr. Olympia. You want everyone to look their best. And if having a black backdrop shows them at their best, that's what you want for the athletes. So for that little bit of second or whatever, just fucking dim it down. You know, don't have the fucking.
Well, you know, you got to remember too. These guys never competed before either, so they don't understand that either. So if you've never been on a stage and you don't know how backdrops make a huge difference, and you're looking at show pics with all this mess behind you, you're like, I look way better than that. This is washing me out. And so he made a video. He said so. Do you think he's really going to do something at the Olympia where that's like blacked out or something? Yeah, I mean, he said he was.
I hope so. Right? I just never understood, because I remember I brought it up before in the bat, and then Bob went off with, oh, you can't do that, you can't, you know, Bob killed the idea straight away. But I've always said, why don't they just speak to John Bailick, Mike Neville, and all them who did the Ironman, and say, what did you do for the Ironman? Look, I understand different auditoriums, wherever, you're not going to get it exactly the same, but at least use that as your base for how you set up lighting. Just find out what they did. In some places, you can probably replicate it to a T. In other places, you might not. But if you can get close to that, because the Ironman showed the athletes, they were lit from the front, the back, had that back black drop was just a curtain that had like pinhole lights in it sometimes, so it wasn't distracting. So they
were so fucking hot.
Yeah, I remember the ones even coming up from behind. You turn around to do your rear shots and fucking lights in the eyes.
It would be a smack in the face of heat, man. It was hot up there. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but we did look our best with those lightings that just highlighted everything. So if they could just get like that as a base model, and like I said, if you can stick close to that, I think it would be good. You know, because like I said, it wouldn't be hard, because these people have the auditoriums ahead of time, months ahead, so they can set the lights up. And like I said, if they can get close to that, because like I said, you want the athletes who have trained their ass off, no matter what division it is, to be looking their best. And we've all seen it. Remember some days, the Arnold Classic, when it used to be on TV, they lit it for TV, and it would fucking wash everyone out. You're like, fuck, why does everyone look smooth? Backstage shredded, on stage smooth. So lights make a huge difference when it comes to how you look. So
during the actual prejudging and the finals, I've been going back and forth. I've texted Dan. Like, Dan, you're fucking up. It looks terrible. I'm telling you right now, it looks terrible. Do something. And he gets into panic mode. So hopefully they'll get it right this year.
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys paid for a sponsor, would you care for 10 minutes if it wasn't up on the screen? I would care. I could care less.
Yeah. But it wouldn't even be 10 minutes. It'd be like they pull 4 or 5 guys out, make it black. Like I said, still have the sponsors up the side and across the top. But for that 2 minutes, they're doing comparisons. Have it black, and when they walk back and they look and decide who they're going to put up next, have the whole stage lit up again. When they call out the next 4, black that section out again. It's not hard to do. And even remember on the stage, they sometimes used to have at the night show, they had those big Olympia looking Coliseum columns. You can have sponsors projected on those columns, so you'd still get enough sponsor coverage, and that's
absolutely.
Like I said, yes, sponsors bring in the money, sure, but without the athletes and the fans, and if the fans, a lot of fans get pissed off because their athletes who they follow and look up to aren't looking their best, they get ticked off. So if you lose the athletes and you lose the fans, it doesn't matter who's going to sponsor the fucking show if you got no one coming to see it.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, let's do a couple questions. This guy asked, are amphetamines the best drugs for cutting pre-contest because it kills your appetite? No, that will burn your muscle.
No.
Burn your muscle.
Not at all.
Whether it's Adderall or, listen, my client, before he got with me this past couple years, he was doing Adderall before. He would take Adderall all the time. And so he thought he'd get by an Adderall. And he was taking meth for months. It was meth. Just in press pills. And he had no clue. You can't take pills from people anymore. It's whether they're cut with fentanyl, cocaine, whatever. It's not one of these things like, hey, go to a concert, take a pill, and it's that. You can't do
Armon,
that.
what you just said makes is absolutely 1000% true. There was a time back, we all
Yeah.
heard Sound Factory days and party days. You would have some sketchy guy walk up to you, put his hand in his cargo pants, put 2 pills in your hand, you hand him $20. You cannot. Those days are done. No way. No way.
No.
Done.
And
At
even
least at the
like
music festivals.
even bodybuilding, it's like as hard as it is on the body, even if you're err on the side of caution and don't use much gear and that, it's still taxing on the body. So to use any type of drug on top of that, like a party type drug, is just not advisable. Like I said, bodybuilding's hard enough. Even if you try and keep it as healthy as you can with steroids and the dieting and taking water out and that, it's still somewhat dangerous. So why add to that danger by adding in fucking other drugs like fucking speed or amphetamines? Or I know people that you go to the gym and they use cocaine for a pre-workout. Like I said, I've done cocaine to party at home. I'm thinking I could never fucking train on this shit. I'd be fucking dead.
Craig was infamous for that. Craig Titus used to do that before every workout. He used to get
the chances of tearing your muscles too from doing stuff like cocaine or being dehydrated like that, it's just crazy. So no, amphetamines are not the way to do it. Maybe a cup of coffee. GLP-1s are popular now. I'm not a fan of that because a lot of people, they can't eat enough. So a lot of people are like swear by certain ones. Like Retta is a little milder than like Ozempic, semaglutide, but still, it keeps the food right there so you don't get hungry. I think that just kind of messes your body up a little bit in your natural process. That when you're supposed to take a shit, you're supposed to take a shit.
Another trend that I've seen now is you walk in the gym and a group of kids walk in and the whole gym smells like weed for about 2 hours. That's another thing.
Training high.
I get
a better pump. I concentrate better. I'm like, no, you don't. You just think you are.
Nah. Yeah. The thing is too. I think it's like this new society wants everything now. They want it quick. So they think they can do these other things like amphetamines and that to get in shape. The only way to get in the best shape ever, and King and I know it, and Armon, you know it, is not hard fucking work, strict dieting, busting your ass on fucking cardio. If you want to get a bit leaner, maybe you got to cut your calories back a bit, or maybe you got to do that extra 45 on the stepper. But they don't want to hear that. I'll kind of take a pill and burn the fat off that way. No, you got to bust your fucking ass. And when you get on stage, you can see the ones who have done the work and the ones who have still look good, but you can tell they've skated by doing other shit where they haven't really tried to almost kill himself with the cardio, the training. Right. Remember, everyone in our day had the fucking death face on, looking like, we're going to pass out. Some of these guys now, their faces the day before the show look like off season still.
Yeah, it's crazy. This guy asked, did you guys cook your food or have anyone help you like Kevin did? How would meal companies have helped you guys back in the day? Would you have had more time in your lives to enjoy? I know myself, I enjoyed cooking my own food. I know what's in it. If you have some mad girlfriend, she's not putting sugar or whatever in there instead. But, competitors say, like my competitor's like, I'm flying so-and-so, but my meal company's sending all my meals up there. I'm like, dude, you don't even know what quality of meat they're using. You don't know what they're really, even if they have a good rep, you don't know what they're really putting in there. So, and I think a lot of these guys using food companies or having other people cook their meals and all that, they don't know what's in their food a lot. Like I was one guy's prepping for a show, and he had this girl cooking all his meals, and I'm like, dude, ask her what oil she's using. I'm like, dude, she's using vegetable oil like to cook all his food with. I'm like, no, dude, that doesn't work.
Armon, the first thing we did, I'm sure Lee will attest to this, and maybe you yourself too. When you got to the show, the Olympia Arnold Classic, you went from the airport to the grocery store. That's the first thing you did. You got yourself everything you needed. You come back, your George Foreman grill, your microwave, and you're good, man. Yeah. Cooking everything up, and the place would smell like.
And I found doing it yourself too. It just gave you something to do, because when you're dieting for a show, once you've trained and done your cardio, I'd get bored, and if I sat around, I'd start thinking about food, but the bad food. So if I'm out doing something, and then you learn too that. I remember our first dieting, washed the tuna underwater. It was so fucking plain and boring. But the more you do it, you're like, wait a minute, I can actually add a bit of spice to this and make it taste good. Yeah. So your dieting didn't seem as bad as the years went on, but I'd always do it myself. But then it was funny because when I was with Kathy sometimes, because I got to the point where just cooking chicken breast, no matter how I cooked it, the smell of it, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
So I'd have, it could be like just chicken breast and rice. Kathy does it for me, gives it to me. I'm like, what did you do to this? She's like, nothing. I just cooked it how you cook it. For some reason, when someone else cooks it for you, it tastes better.
Yep.
Like,
it really does on a contest prep. Like if you have a girlfriend, it does taste. It does.
It could be cooked the exact same way, but because you haven't cooked it and they have, you're like, oh, this tastes different.
Yeah. It's psychological. Absolutely.
Back in the day, Leon King's day, how common was it pros smoking cigarettes for appetite suppressant? Would that be allowed to smoke backstage?
Anyone that comes to mind is Marcus Rule. He's always smoking.
I know a lot of the young kids now, they use nicotine gum to kill their appetite. They use every little thing. I'm like, dude, you're going to be hooked on nicotine. And that's another addiction.
I used Jello and popsicles. I don't know what it was.
Sugar-free,
Yeah, sugar-free Jello and popsicles. I would make the Jello myself. I wouldn't buy that crap that came in those little plastic cups. I would make it myself in these nice, beautiful glass things. My refrigerator looked like a friggin' like Jello showcase.
I did the same. I mean, you can have a bowl of Jello and literally have 3 carbs, and that was it.
Would you make I'd make Crystal Light popsicles and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, all that stuff. Yeah.
I had a snow cone machine. I'd do that and do the Crystal Light on there.
If I had hunger pains, that's what I do. I just drink more Crystal Light to my next meal. But then you're pissing all the time. But it's like
and Persian fruit roll-ups too. We call it lavash. I would cut a little piece of it off, put it on my tongue, and literally suck on it for 20 minutes. That's it.
Or even for something different, if I had like potato for some meal, I'd cut the potato so thin, lay it in the microwave, nuke the fuck out of it, and make dehydrate the potato chips. It's like, I remember one of my desserts, if I wanted to feel like it's sort of a cheap meal, it's just a basic thing. I'd get like a couple of punnets of strawberries, puree them so they're almost a liquid, boil up some rice, and then I'd get like egg whites, like 15 egg whites, and you blend them and they become really frothy and thick white, like how you make meringue. And then I'd slowly mix the strawberries and the egg whites together, add the rice slowly, just stir it slow so you don't break down the egg whites to liquid again, add a bit of sweetener, and you bake that in the oven with a bit of nutmeg on top, and it tasted like a baked strawberry custard.
That's another good one.
How do you guys feel about how do you guys feel about the new equipment coming out, and how will that change gyms in the future as far as how we might train?
It's nice. I've always said, look, the equipment's good. It's like at my age now, I don't mind using machines because I've got a few nagging injuries here and there, but nothing's going to beat good old-fashioned free weights. You can work the stabilizing muscles. Everything has to come into play. Yes, some of these machines are great, but I think if you incorporate them with free weights, that's a win-win. But if you're just going to use all machines, you can develop a good physique, but it's not going to look as good as someone who's using the free weights and just using everything. Like I said, I remember when I was in Australia, because all we had for back, our machines were a seated row back in the day, a lat pull down, and there was no back rows. When I got the golds, I'm like, fuck, look at that machine. I don't have to do bent over rows anymore. Okay, cool. So for like 6 months, I used all these back machines. I'm like, I'm going to try to do bent over rows. So I put one plate on it. I'm like, everything. It's crazy. It's like if you don't squat for a while and you go do the Smith machine and other stuff, you go back to squatting. I remember 2 plates, I'm shaking going down because like the weight wasn't heavy, but all your stabilizer muscles in your back just don't feel tight and that. So they are good, but they have their place. But I think a combination of both is the best if you can use both.
Exactly. Yes.
I think so, definitely. You got people on both sides. You got a lot of people like Dorian will say, "Oh, you have to do all this, heavy free weight, no machines to look a certain way." And I think it's a mix of both. Like you said, the stabilizing muscles, especially like I'm not a huge fan of barbell bench press at all. I think most people get a lot of injuries on that. Like maybe for shorter guys with shorter arms, but but like they make a lot of great machines, but still doing the dumbbell, presses and stabilizing muscles, all that is a good mix between it. Of course, getting older, all the Arsenal Panada equipment it works great for us because we're not training for anything. We just need a little need to fill the muscle, and some of these machines are pretty awesome. You get on and you're like, wow, I feel it all in my lats, where maybe an older sport machine, you might not feel it the same.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I find it psychological better because at the moment I got a sore shoulder, and the most I can dumbbell press right now is about 80, 90 pounds tops. So if I do that with the dumbbells, even though I get a good burn and a pump, in my mind, I'm like, fuck, Lee, I used to do 180s, 200s. So it mentally fucks me up. I'm like, fuck, this is pathetic. There's younger kids in here going heavier than me. So if I use a machine, I got nothing to gauge it off. I'm like, oh, it just feels good. But when I'm using free weights, I mean, if I'm using free weights, I start comparing what I used to do. I'm like, oh, fuck, this is pathetic.
Yeah, you can't do that, Lee. You can't play that game, Lee. You gotta let that pass be the pass. I go through the same thing. I go to the gym, I grab the 50s and I do dumbbell flies. I'm like, that's all. I don't look around. I don't look left. I don't look right. I just want to do what I want to do because I'm just like you. I remember pushing up to 180s and thinking to myself now, wow.
Well, I used to do the walking.
Your shoulder off if you try, probably.
Yeah. I used to do the walking lunges like Ronnie with 2 plates on my back, sometimes 3, but I always carry sometimes 100-pound dumbbells. Now I do them just body weight. I get the best pump and burn, but as I'm doing body weight, there'll be a girl going past me holding like 30-pound dumbbells, 40-pound dumbbells. I'm like, you're a fucking pussy, Lee. I'm like, no, but I'm heavier than her. My body weight's heavier, so that's okay. But sometimes I just feel like a pussy. I'm like, fucking hell. As I said, I go to the gym now. It's more of a maintenance because of like the injuries. I work around them. But if I get a little pump and I don't get injured, that's a win. I'm like, yes, I got through another workout.
Absolutely.
But it's also you guys, Clement, so we put on enough size, training the right way, and then transition over. Now everybody's just going straight to all machines and not utilizing any free weight stuff at all. They're not doing anything. And so, yeah, the machines are comfortable and they're a lot easier. You know how it is when you do deadlifts or squats that just it attacks your central nervous system so much.
Oh, yeah. Well, but even like you said with dumbbells, if you use machines, which I did for a while, then I went back to dumbbells. You're like that robot from Lost in Space. Doing the dumbbells, one's going like this. I'm like, fucking hell. It's like you're shaking. It's like
it's not the same. I think Nick's jaw movements on stage remind me of how Dorian looked at the Sound Factory at 4 a.m. and his mic. Black mess.
He was chewing gum, wasn't he?
He was chewing gum.
He was chewing gum, yeah. Which is stupid, but maybe his mouth was so dry he needed just something in there. But that's not professional looking.
Or maybe it might have even been a nervous thing. Was it just some people get nervous? They got to.
It looked like chewing gum, and I know Weinberger doesn't like it because I had a client Bolo do that on stage, and he turned back to me and said, he's like shaking his head. He goes, "Don't ever fucking let him do that again." So I know Steve hates it.
I'd be backstage before they would tell people to like say, spit out your gum. You can't have gum on stage, and then they just do it. Now that just looks really bad. I don't know. I
remember. Was it Paul Dillette at what show were we at? And he wasn't getting called out because I was here and he was there beside me. He's like, "Oh, they're not calling me out." Okay. And he just tiptoes behind the curtain. I'm standing there. I'm like, "Do I smell fucking chocolate?" He's over there with a big bag of M&Ms. And he's fucking. And then they're like, "Paul Dillette." Oh fuck! He comes, stands to him again. He's got a whole mouthful of M&Ms on stage.
Nick said no gum. Nick said he wasn't chewing gum. So
it's something. It looked like gum because he's just standing there going.
Yeah.
Unless he's like me at the moment because I had these veneers put in. There's like a little gap there, and the back of my gum keeps getting caught, so there's a little bit of skin. So sometimes now I play with it all the time. I'm doing this. And then I watch podcasts when I'm playing with it. I'm thinking, I look like a fucking crack addict because I'm just doing.
Well, I know Nick is a nail biter. Maybe he had a nail in his mouth the whole time and was playing with it.
Who knows?
Who knows? But whatever. Yeah, you can't do that stuff.
And it's like someone else said too. I think his red trunks, he needs to go a different color to highlight his glutes a bit more because his tan and trunks almost blend into one. So I think a different color trunk, not the red.
Is it true that he's on meth? Who's starting these rumors that Nick's on meth?
He's holding his mask good for he's on meth.
People don't understand what meth does to your body. That will strip muscle off your body completely. So I'm sure Nick is not doing meth.
Yeah, we're pretty sure about that one.
Yeah, he might be doing some kratom, but that's about it.
Backstage, he's just like, I'm ready.
This guy says, I use 1 milligram of nicotine lozenge twice a day. On the weekends, I don't take any. Research shows dependence only occurs at 4 mg a day. That's the problem, though. You take it twice a day, then it's 3 times a day, then it's every day. That's the thing that drugs do and nicotine does. You know, you'll eventually start using more because you justify it, and then next thing you know, you're full blown. You know.
Well, I had friends like you said with the Adderall. I had friends that used to snort Adderall, and they'd started on 5, but then they lost the potency. Then they were snorting 6, then they're snorting 7. I'm like, fuck me, Dad, you're gonna fucking
All drugs are like that.
No thanks.
Unless you're just losing to go party on. If you're using it like that, you're gonna your body gets used, especially like opiates. It's like a tree branch, and the branch just keeps growing and growing. And you have to feed it with more.
Well, that's the only thing that got me was opioids when I had my neck operations, and the doctor had me on Oxycontin, and I'm like taking them like he said. And then I said, okay, I don't need them anymore. I went to stop them. Well, fuck. Didn't my body have different ideas when I went to stop it? I put myself in detox. But like I said, I didn't know. You don't know you're getting addicted to them. You're just taking them.
Right.
You feel like a zombie. But then, like when it came to steroids or when I did a couple of party drugs here and there, I've never had that addictive personality. I just stop it straight away. So if I use Coke, I could do it once and not do it again for another year and stuff. So I've never had that addictive personality. And then I always remember if I did get that thing like, oh, it'd be fun to do some Coke just to hang out at home. But then it comes to me, no, Lee, when you do that, the next day you feel like shit. You missed the gym. I missed the gym another day after that. I'm not eating. And I get so pissed off from that. That's enough to make me not do it, because for 2 days I feel like a fucking loser wanting to kill myself and everything else. And for some reason, the Coke must open up something in my brain, because the next day I remember shit from when I was young, stuff I said at probably 8 years old, stuff with my grandparents, and they'd have passed away. I sit there so fucking depressed because I'm thinking about all these good times I had when I'm young. I'm sitting there like, you're fucking in your 40s, in your 50s now doing fucking drugs, you fucking loser. And I get so mad at myself, I don't fucking bother doing it anymore. It's just not worth it.
Yeah.
No, that's it. Rec stuff you can't mix in there. And with all the painkillers, it sucks too, because my doctor is the one that, put me on so much, and I had no idea. These doctors, they don't understand how withdrawal feels unless you've ever been through freaking opiate withdrawal. I mean, you want to literally, end it when you're going through withdrawal. There's
I think if you Google it now, I think Oxycontin is a bigger killer in America than cocaine and some of the party drugs.
Probably.
It's fucking, like I said, it's fucking terrible. Those sort of, like I said, and you don't know you're getting addicted to it. It's like you just sit there. I got to the point where I didn't even want to leave the house. I'd go to the gym, 20 minutes, I'm done. I'd go home, be sunny outside. Oh, I don't want to go outside. So I just turn all the lights on inside. So I felt like I was outside. It's like, I need to go to the grocery store. Oh, no, I've still got a little bit of food left in the fridge. It's like you become this zombie. And like here I am at Sam's here. This was years and years ago. He put up a video, Lee Priest on painkillers. And like I watched the video and I'm like, and you do your biceps and then you're thinking, you'd swear I'm fucking off my tree drunk. I'm thinking, like today, it's 2 hours drive down here, 2 hours drive home through the city, through traffic. I'm thinking, how the fuck did I drive like that? Fucking...
It takes all the little joys away, like little shit you don't think about, like the birds chirping outside. You don't hear stuff like that, or going outside and feeling the sun. None of that stuff feels good. You're just numb all the time.
You're just like numb like a zombie. Just like whatever. Okay, whatever.
Does being dry mean you're in good condition, or is condition judged on striations and detail?
It's hard. You being dry, you're dry. You don't have any fluid, but striations. I think a lot of that too is genetic. We've seen some guys who have the really deep cuts that look fantastic, and you'll have someone that'll have the deep cuts and all the feathers across their legs or triceps. So I think as long as you're dry and you're in conditioned, you can still do well. You don't need all the little striations, which a lot of guys don't have. Back in the day, everyone had the lines going across the chest, the feathers through the deltoids, quads. Now it's more like the bicep and tricep. You might see the different heads, but there's no lines going across the muscles anymore.
Yeah, the answer to this guy's question is genetics. This is genetics.
Well, I think though Nick's glutes this show, his other shows in the past, they've been more dug out. This show, it seems like there was a little film of water, don't you think, King?
Yeah, absolutely.
Almost done.
Yeah. Just a little bit. A little bit. Dave, look.
Anything else, guys, you want to talk about?
Man, let's wrap it up. That's 2 hours, bro.
Yeah, I know. Sorry,
last
time I thought I thought it was 7 because you had daylight savings time. So I went from like, so my bad. Yeah.
That's okay. You probably,
Yeah.
I'll go watch the show. You'll be like, "Where's that fucking Lee cunt? He didn't fucking come on."
No, I said we said Lee's
Fucking
Lee's traveling.
prima donna.
No, we said Lee's traveling. He has some dead zones, so hopefully he'll be on that.
Oh yes, and I will be
You got
traveling
your
next
full
week.
hour.
I'm going to be in Italy next week doing a couple
I
of
saw that.
seminars.
Nice.
Yeah, so and I actually went on there too. I'm going to go see my friend Alessandro, who I'm doing it with over there, but my also friend Gino, who's an IFBB pro. I went over there with him probably 8 months ago. I'm going to go see, because I had like that, you have cardiomyopathy, I had that years ago, and athletes having an enlarged heart and stuff. So I had my tests done here, but doctors here, like doctors in America, blah, 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 take this statin. I'm like, I don't want to take this statin. I feel shit. So I'm seeing one of the top cardiologists in Italy while I'm there, and he's going to run all the tests, and he goes, the medication on now, I've seen your blood work, it's not good for you. So he's going to put me on the right medication and stuff. It's weird, isn't it? Like, Cuba even seems to have better medical than America and Australia.
Yeah.
Doctors here are just like, here's a script, off you go. And he even said to me, since you've been on these statins and that, did they do your blood work after to see how they're affected? Because, there's so many statins, some affect people differently, but I feel like I lost a lot of strength on them and stuff. But he's like, they didn't do that. He's like, no. He's like, okay. He goes, when you see me, I'll get you on the right protocol, so you'll be right. So I'm looking forward to actually seeing someone that cares.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Statins are awful. It's crazy because I just did my score and just in 1 year, my calcium score jumped up like big time. So I have to do some more tests, but my eating's been like junk. I've been eating way too much burgers and ice cream and all that. And it matters what we eat at this age.
Look at this nice one. Look at that. I had to buy it. It's a new flavor. Chocolate Aero Bar, strawberry. It's got strawberry in it, so that's healthy.
That's nice.
All right, Lee. Well, have a good trip, and then have a good
Thank
trip.
you. Thank you. It's just like I said, I love living in Australia, but everywhere from here is such a fucking distance.
Don't worry about it, brother. You live in paradise. Enjoy it.
Thank you. It's just going to another paradise is like 15 hours to Doha, then another 7 from there to Italy. It's like Jesus. Elon, if you're listening, Elon and whoever, make a supersonic jet again, please, so we can get places quicker. I want to thank Elon too. I got Starlink at home now, so Elon, Starlink is great. I haven't had drop service since I've had Starlink.
Nice, excellent,
awesome. All right, King. All right, Lee.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Peace.
Yep.
Later.
Okay. Bye.